This is the It's Time to Refresh podcast with Brad Riffresh, the podcast about life, music, traveling, shit, literal shit that is, and weird and wacky stories with Brad, and a range of guests from the planet Earth. Feel free to share the pod with your pals, your mom, your neighbor's dog, or even your shrink. It's all fun. You can follow our Facebook group called It's Time to Refresh Community, or It's Time to Refresh on Instagram. Write into the pod, ask questions, and share your stories. Enjoy the pod.
Hey kids, what time is it?
It's time to refresh.
You all right? How we doing? Just want to take 2 minutes of your time before we start this week's podcast to tell you about our Patreon. Patreon is a tool that we're using to help the podcast grow, give you better content, and, well, as I said, just let the podcast grow. So we've got 3 tiers. The first tier, there's only 20 of these spaces available, and it's £1 for life, and that's for It's Time to Refresh Originals. So if you've tuned in from day one and you want to join the cause, you can sign up for £1. Just follow the link in the description. We've got the standard Patreon, which you get access to bonus episodes, some exclusive content, Patreon specials, which we'll be recording, and early access to all future episodes. So you'll be getting them on a Tuesday instead of a Friday, which I think is fucking amazing for £3. That's less than a coffee. And then we've got our legend status VIP Patreons, which is £10. And that gets you tickets to all my gigs, and it will get you free entry to any It's Time to Refresh associated events, gigs in the future. So that's a little hint of what's coming up in the future. If you do like the podcast, then please share it with your mates. We are trying to grow this little thing we've got going. We've got some amazing guests coming up in the future as well, and we want this to go bigger and better. So sign up at Patreon at patreon.com/It's Time to Refresh. Thank you. Enjoy the episode. Back once again with another episode. This is episode... I've lost track again. I can't even remember what episode number it is. But on this one, we've got Simon Kennedy, Cumbrian DJ, been around forever, as long as I can remember anyways.
I feel like I have.
So, this is Simon Kennedy. How are you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm really good, thank you, yeah. Absolutely feeling tip-top for a change.
For a change. But, so how are you doing anyways?
Yeah, good. Just, keeping busy, work, family, all that other stuff, good stuff going on, and then trying to forge my way in DJing like everybody else at the moment.
Yeah. How's DJing? I know we've talked off pod, but like, I've never actually seen. How's DJing treating you? Are you enjoying it at the minute, or what have you got much on?
I've got enough on to keep me busy, keep me interested. I've got a residency at Havana in Carlisle that I'm there pretty much part of the furniture because I've been there that long.
Yeah.
I'm doing some bits at the LOL now as well,
Yeah.
and that's about it at the moment. But to be honest, that's enough.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
And I've got a few little things coming up with the guys over at Foreplay. Doing a Solfest tent for them on the bank holiday Sunday. So enough to keep me going. And I've been working on some like really different stuff with Rory Wood around the metaverse.
Oh wow!
Which
we'll get into that
because
I'm not sure where you're coming from with that. Like,
it blew my mind when I first started looking at it as well.
So what I wanted to ask you is, obviously you were saying about that's enough when it comes to it. Obviously you're in the same boat as me, missus and kids and stuff. Do you find it hard in doing a work life DJing balance? I struggle with it, to be honest with you. Obviously, I've got this podcast now as well. So,
well, yeah, I think what it is, the main thing for me was, I started DJing in sort of like 1996, 97. That's when I bought my first set of turntables and a mixer, which was a full Sound Lab direct drive Gemini 626.
Posh.
Old school. Oh yeah, very posh at the time. Wasn't quite there at the money levels for the Technics 1210s, but eventually I did.
Direct drive though.
Yeah, but direct drive still, yeah. But I did eventually get a set of 1210s as that went on. But I think because DJing has predominantly shaped a lot of my life, it's always been kind of part and parcel of me and what comes with me.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when it comes to being in relationships and having kids and stuff like that, it's always been the fight to balance all that stuff out.
Yeah.
And I've been, I find myself lucky that I've got a wife who will literally indulge every stupid idea I've got around.
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
I know the feeling too well.
And I've got 3 daughters. One's 18, coming up to 18. One's 19 and away at uni, so she only comes back every now and again. And I've got like 6-year-old who wants every minute of my life, and I give her as much time as I possibly can within this shape of 24 hours, and her being awake as well.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But that's what I was thinking there. I was going to ask you as well. Is your daughters? Because obviously your daughters are like going out age. Are they into like your music or?
I'm going to be honest and say they are not into my music at all.
Right. Are they into dance music at all? Are they
Yeah, they are. I mean, one of my daughters, she had no choice because she actually worked in Havana for a while.
Yeah.
So she basically got
Right.
she got that music in, but she's more into 80s and stuff like that.
That's class.
Yeah.
18-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, she's quite eccentric. She's got like a really sort of eccentric personality as well, and some of the stuff she likes watching black and white movies.
I bet she's buzzing at Kate Bush's back in the charts.
Oh yeah, she's loving it. She loves like 80s music. She loves like 80 pop. I mean, she was massively both of my older daughters were massively into K-pop.
Right.
And J-pop and all that kind of stuff, and I just really couldn't get my head around it.
I still can't. Weirdly, it really boomed since 2017 onwards.
Yeah.
In the UK, but like I remember first going over to like Hong Kong and that, like it'd been 10 years ago now, maybe more, but going over and like they in their charts it was K-pop, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, it's Hong Kong, it's next to China, why is it a thing? It's like, no, these people are like Justin Bieber on steroids. Like,
Oh yeah,
the popularity is unreal.
I was actually astonished at how big it is
It's
and
crazy, yeah.
how the fans, what do they call it, fandoms?
Yeah.
The fandoms that are
Like Beatlemania.
it's worse than Beatlemania because like you've got fandoms going up against fandoms, and they proper hate each other, don't they? If you're not like,
Class.
it's like mods versus rockers again.
On a bigger scale though, because
yeah.
it's much bigger scale. It's like you can go to HMV now and they've got like a full section of K-pop and it's fucking mental.
Yeah, but
yeah, obviously we've run off on a tangent already, but I want to go back to the beginning with you. So how did it all start out for you? Have you been involved with music your whole life, or your parents or out like that?
it goes back to it starts with my parents. I mean, when I say going back, like we were talking like when music was on tape reels, like the big tape reels, reel tapes. So they would just have music on all those kind of things. So I would just be sitting there listening to various types of music. So you're talking everything from like Shawaddy Waddy to like Status Quo to sort of like Motown and all that kind of stuff. I was always kind of had a keen interest in music, even though when I went to school, I didn't study music at all.
Yeah.
Like I was very away from music. I mean, I think that's because all that was forced on me in primary and secondary school was classical music.
Yeah.
So I had this Irish music teacher called Mr. McElhenney, and he was horrible. Like, like if you weren't getting it, he would just literally shout at you, and he was just like he was like a really strong Irish accent, so it literally cut through you like a knife when he went at you.
Intimidating.
Yeah, and getting whacked over the knuckles with a ruler and stuff like that, which doesn't happen in schools now, but
No, it doesn't.
did when I went to school in Netherall anyway, in Maryport, and that was like how it was always like that. So music I was really turned off from music at that point in my life, and it wasn't until sort of like when I finished school and I went into work and then started hanging around with different crowds of people and stuff like that weren't from like the small village of Flimby.
Yeah.
And then you get into the bigger world of, Whitehaven and Workington and stuff like that, and mixing with different peoples from all sort of different backgrounds and stuff like that. And then, just through like when I was on the training schemes, going out in Egremont to the Old Hall.
So was it Old Hall? Yeah.
Yeah, so it was kind of like an Old Hall thing. But then it was kind of like, when I started seeing different people, they were talking about like, oh, we're going to go away to this club called Hacienda, and I was like, right, what's that? Oh, it's this place in Manchester. I don't know what it was. Never even heard about it.
Classical word of mouth, isn't it? That's what
Yeah,
it is.
classical word of mouth. Right, we're going down Friday night. Meet us at Workington. We'll pick you up in the car and we'll go down. So basically, met these guys. We took off down to Manchester. went to the Hacienda, and that's when I first sort of understood what was going on. That was like, because obviously what they were playing at the Old Hall and what they were playing at Hacienda weren't quite the same style of music. It was more like Italian sort of piano based stuff at the Old Hall, whereas proper acid house thing was going on in Manchester.
Yeah.
And it was just a very interesting place, and I was kind of getting into it as the Hacienda was kind of coming to its climax. You know what I mean?
So what year of life then? What year did you finish school?
What year did I finish school? 91.
Jesus. Fucking hell. So you'll have caught it like sort of peaking. That was 92 really sort of.
Yeah, so it kind of was peaking then.
Yeah.
So like the acid house movement, the M25 raves, all that kind of thing was going on. That was back then, no mobile phones. If you wanted to go to an illegal rave, you had to like find a flyer that had a phone number on it, and you had to go into a pay phone box that was on the corner of a street.
I love it.
Ring that number, and then there'd be a message on the end of the phone telling you where to go.
Class, I love it. I do.
And then
I'm good to missed out on all this.
So it was the hunt.
Yeah.
You were hunting the rave. And when you got there, it would be, there could be anywhere. I mean, they used to do them all over Cumbria in caves and places like that. There was just so much stuff going on, but it was just like.
I've heard the classic stories of the cave raves and up on top of the fucking mountains and stuff like that. Like just random places. I love that. I love all that. But I wanted to get onto the sort of Hacienda thing. You didn't know what it was when you were heading down, so it was just like, oh, we're going down here. That's your first perception of what the Hacienda was.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, I went in. It was just this big room, and it was just like very industrial.
Prelude to what to expect or anything like that.
No, nothing at all.
And then you went to the Hacienda.
Yeah.
Wow. That's class. That is. I don't know. Just class. Like, because when. Obviously, you said you'd watched a couple of the episodes as well. When I get into things, like I proper research everything, like before I do it. So like,
there was no ability to research things like that. We didn't have the internet.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but like even your tapes are out like that. Like beforehand, I just think like before I go anywhere, I've always got a picture in my head of what it's going to be like, or like I said, like I've said on previous podcasts, when I used to listen to tapes of say a certain place.
Yeah, well, it was a guy.
What it's like from the atmosphere.
Well, it was a guy I travelled into work with.
Right.
And he was from Maryport, and like so he was going away quite a lot, and he was like a couple of years older than me, so he was already going out and going away and stuff like that. And it was him who kind of sort of like taught me around into it, and he'd have the tapes on in the car going to work and coming home from work and stuff like that. And it was like that kind of intrigued me more than anything else. I was also seeing a girl at the time, and she was kind of into sort of like the Zone, Wigan Pier stuff and all that kind of thing. So I'd go to some of the early Zone stuff in Blackpool, and then I'd end up at Hackett's on Central Pier and stuff like that.
Right.
So that was like where all the house heads would kind of go, And so I was kind of trying to just sample all these different things, and then that was coming into like sort of like mid 90s. Then sort of like 97, I started seeing this other girl, and like they were into like we went down to Liverpool for a weekend because this girl I was seeing, her mate, we said, oh, we're going to go to this club in Liverpool called Cream.
Right.
Once again, no idea what it was.
Right. Okay.
No conception of what was going on there.
You sort of guided into the music that you like then, really, just coincidentally, like, oh, we like this, we're going to go to this, do you want to come?
Yeah, it was always that thing of, it was quite serendipitous from the point of, oh, we're going somewhere, do you want to come? And I was like, yeah, well, I had nothing else to do other than the fact I was playing rugby.
Yeah.
Outside of rugby and training, I wasn't really doing anything, so it was kind of like, oh, I'll experience new things. And the trip down Liverpool was, I went down, we stayed in the Adelphi Hotel, which you wouldn't even stay anywhere near now, but at the time it was quite a decent hotel back then.
So, like...
In fact, where the Adelphi Hotel is, there's one of the bounce meccas just over the road, used to be over the road, the 051.
Yeah, the 051. So have you been there?
Yeah, went in the 051, yeah.
Class.
That was actually somewhere I went after I'd gone to Cream. Because that was like open until like God knows what time in the morning.
Yeah. I think it was a 6 o'clock finish that most nights.
Yeah.
So we're talking mid-90s. I'm trying to gather So when you went down, what DJs were on in a Cream? Like, did you know who you were going to see? Because they all guaranteed always had a big name every weekend.
Yeah, pretty much. I walked into Cream, and the first thing that got me about Cream was because obviously you walk down all these back street, you got to the square outside the Nation, and there was like a bar over the road, but I mean it's not there now, and that was just banging out so like loads of house music and stuff like that, and I was just leaning against the outside wall in the queue, waiting to go into Cream, and all I could hear was this.
Nice.
And I was like, the wall was literally vibrating, and I was like, wow, this is good. And literally paid money to get in, walked into the main room, and right at the end of the main room was the DJ standing. It was like a picture frame, like a big gilded sort of golden picture frame, and in the middle of that picture frame was Pete Tong.
Class. That's class.
I was like, and I was sort of like, at the time, like, it was just sort of like, wow, it was this. But the thing that took my breath away more than anything was the ferociousness of the sound system. Yeah. Like, my chest just felt like it was going to cave in.
That was the first time I've heard that, mind.
And that was my first experience of, like, a really big, massive club sound system. Yeah. I mean, Hacienda was good, but there was that many people in there, you just couldn't move. Whereas in Cream, it was kind of, we were in there early and it was just you and a few people in the sound system, and literally the sound system took my breath away.
Who was it? I think it might have been Chris on the podcast. Lockie said on it, he said when he went down, he said the first thing he noticed about Cream when he was in there was that you could feel everything, every single piece, and it was sort of...
It was thunderous. It was unbelievable.
Somewhere I never went as well, too young for that.
So obviously Tongy was laying it down in the main room, and then I went into the annex, and this is how I got into this is how I kind of discovered what genres of dance music I liked.
Yeah.
And I went into the annex, and there was this guy playing, and he had this like major like really sort of, everybody was well dressed as well.
Liverpool always has been, mate. I think that even.
Do you know what? Like, we went in, and like one of the things I noticed, like everybody was like super well dressed, Dolce and Gabbana, Gucci, and everything, you know. And I think,
like Liverpool.
Yeah, and it's that is textbook Liverpool. And I walked into the annex, and there was this guy playing called Paul Oakenfold, and he was playing the most unbelievable trance music. And I must have spent the rest of the night in there.
Class. I like it.
And that was kind of my indoctrination to when that's when I knew I liked house music and I loved trance music.
Yeah.
And that was the love affair that began with Cream, and that's when I started looking beyond Cream, because back then when you come out of Cream, there'd be like a lot of people stood around with like plastic bags full of flyers.
Yeah.
So I literally got these plastic bags full of flyers, and I just started looking through them all, thinking, right, I want to go there, I want to go there, I want to go there, and just started, that kind of sort of like whetted my appetite for clubland,
right,
and getting into the clubs, you know, like Gate Crasher, and there was this church in Birmingham called God's Kitchen.
Yeah, I've heard of that, yeah.
And it was basically a converted church into a nightclub. Oh, honestly, what an amazing place. And it was kind of like, that's when I started to understand what music was all about and what the scene was all about.
So at this point, you've went off in your own direction, really. You're not going, someone's not going to you, oh, we're going to this fancy company. It was, I'm actively hunting for what I'm looking for. Like, where's Oakenfold that?
Yeah.
Like that type of thing.
I mean, literally, Oakenfold was resident at Cream, so I was pretty much going to Cream quite a lot.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of one night I was just sort of in there, and this is how DJing started for me. I pretty much sat in the annex again, Oakenfold, doing his thing, banging night, and he finished his set, and I just thought, you know what, I want to get a photograph with him, because he's like, but this time like sort of like. So the super club era is coming in, and it's getting bigger, and Mix Mag and DJ Mag and the DJ was becoming the celebrity.
The personality, not just the guy in the corner like we said before.
Yeah, just not like a guy in a corner. The DJ became the focus.
At this point, though, you've got to There's like your Carl Coxes, Fatboy Slim. There's a lot of people getting into the charts, so they are becoming celebrities.
Yeah, dance music's becoming mainstream, so there was so much stuff coming out that I had literally every time I went to Cream, I'd come back with a CD. Whether it was one of the Resurrection sort of, they had this sort of like house music sort of thing where they had like Alistair Whitehead, John Pleased With Me, and Jeremy Healy all putting these CDs out, and literally I was just buying all these CDs
just to hear new music, isn't
just
it?
so I could hear the music and take the club home with me, and have that in my car all the time as well. And it was that one night I thought, right, I want to get a picture with Oakenfold because it's a big deal. So I waited till he finished the set, and he came out of the DJ box, and I'm stood there, and I get a photograph with him, and I just started talking to him, and I just said to him, I was like, how do you get into this? How do you become a DJ? And he just turned around to me and he went, just get some turntables and get yourself some vinyl. And I said, well, where do I start? And he went, oh, there's a shop in Liverpool called 3B Records. Go up there.
Yeah, legendary shop as well.
Yeah, and that's where it all began for me. So I went home.
So how old are you at this point?
At this point, it's 90. So we're into 97 now.
Yeah,
97. So. How old am I now? Probably about 19, 20.
Right, yeah. So you've got the bug, and then you want to know the tunes, and you sort of actively seeking to become a DJ. Just want to ask as well for the listeners: have you got the photo still of you and Oakenfold?
I have.
Can you send me it? I'll put it on the screen now.
I'll try and match it out. I'll try. It's probably at my mum's house actually, but I do have it.
No worries.
And
You've got enough time to send me it. This won't be out for a couple of weeks yet, so.
Yeah, no worries. I'll go.
I'll put it on a young Simon, a cream with Oakenfold. It's a good memory to have though, isn't it? A good look back on, and
it's an excellent memory, and it's kind of what kind of started it for me. So obviously went home, and obviously because I was buying DJ mag and stuff like that. Once again, internet wasn't really that great then, so you couldn't really order anything online, no even online stores. So basically, in DJ Mag, right at the back of DJ Mag, in the classifieds, right, what can I buy?
So did you know what you were looking for at all at this point? Like,
no, I didn't have a clue.
Yeah, like, 'cause I remember getting into DJing myself, and I've told this story a couple of times, but like, there's bits I haven't mentioned of like when I got into DJing. I didn't know anybody around me. No one was a DJ.
Yeah.
So like, there was like I remember getting. This is sad. This like, but like I remember getting a turntable with a belt drive with a pitch control, and I had one that didn't have one. So I'd have to play at the same speed wherever that was. Do you know what I mean? And then so, and it might be confusing, but this is how it was. So say my pitch control on the left and my normal deck on the right. It was like a Kenwood deck. I got it from like a cash converters or something.
Yeah, like a standard turntable with like a 35 and a 45 setting, and that was it.
So what I'd do is I'd start off, if I was going to do like an hour long mix to record to listen back to see how my DJing was going and stuff. I'd start off with whatever the BPM was on that record at 45, for instance. So we'd be playing, and I'd mix in using the mixable deck, right?
With the pitch control.
But what I'd have to do is when I put the next tune on there, I'd have to adjust the tune's BPM that's already playing on there to mix in. It was so hard.
I tell you what, you certainly learned the hard way there. You definitely did it.
But nobody told me at the time. Like, I went and got it, and I come back and I was like, oh, this doesn't have one of them. Still, I didn't know what that was called. Didn't know or anything. So nobody told me, and I didn't have anyone to think. It was only when I started getting. I think it was like I used to get a magazine. It wasn't DJ Mag. It was the Hard to Find Records, remember that?
Oh yeah.
Hard to Find Records mag, and it'd be
I used to get that. It used to come through every so often, didn't you? And you were like scouring through it.
I was just like, right, so this one's, because you'd say like features on the deck, and you're like, right, this one's got pitch control, so I know to look out for this, and then obviously that lasted for about 6 months until I could save enough money to. But for you, what was the thing like? Because obviously you didn't know what a belt drive was, you didn't know what a direct drive was, you didn't know what
I didn't have a clue.
Were or anything.
I was just looking through this magazine, and one of the lads who played rugby with, he just happened to have some turntables. Like he just happened to be an DJ. Didn't even know he was into it.
Yeah.
And he basically said, "Oh, you want to get some like direct drives and like make sure you get like maybe like a 3-channel mixer, 2-channel mixer at least." And I was like, right, okay. So I was looking through DJ Mag, and I was like, I rang this company up, and like they said, "Oh, well, why don't you try like the SoundLab DLP3s with this Gemini 626 mixer? You know, it's one of our like good starter packages. You know, and it should get you going."
Is this mail order at this point?
Yeah, mail order. This is like over the phone. Yeah. So it's like literally order it over the phone, give you bank details and all that kind of shit. You know what I mean? And then then it arrived a few days later. But obviously then, I didn't have a lot of vinyl, so it was a case of right now I need to start buying vinyl. I need to start finding record shops go and buy
What was
vinyl.
the first record you bought? Can you remember?
Yeah, I do. Daft Punk Burning from HMV in Newcastle.
It's not something I thought you'd go for, man. It's like, I don't know why. You just...
I think that was because I was in Newcastle on a night out, and it was just Saturday. I wandered in HMV and just started ratcheting through some vinyl. So I bought a few other bits and pieces as well that I was looking for. But it wasn't until I went down to Cream about 3 or 4 weeks later that I then went into 3 Beat Records.
Yeah.
And that's when I met Les Calvert.
Right. Right. So then you've got a rough idea of what you should be looking for at this point, then, right?
Well, this is how much I think, you know, Les kind of, you know, he's a great guy, absolutely brilliant guy, you know, and he's helped so many people in this industry. It's unreal. He doesn't get the recognition he deserves.
Yeah.
So I walk into 3 Beat Records after a night of Cream. Les is there, and he's like, "All right, lad, yeah." I said, "I'm looking for some vinyl." He's like, "Oh, what are you into?" I said, "Well, I'm into like house and trance." And he went, "You want Okie tunes?"
Yeah, he knew straight away.
And I went, "Yeah." And he was like, "I'll sort you out, lad. Don't worry." And
Right.
and he just come with this like massive stack of vinyl. And, right over there, lad.
And then testing them out on the turntable.
Yeah, and then just listen to them,
Right.
and that's where that's when crate digging become a hobby.
Can I ask a question? Like, because this is also something I done. So when you were checking the records out, we listening out for Okie can full play. It didn't necessarily need to be like a good tune, but I heard Okie full play that he must be good.
Yeah.
That's what I was like at first.
That's exactly how it started.
Yeah.
He
And
played
then
that
you
at Cream
develop
last
your own
night.
taste after that, don't you?
Yeah,
Then-
pretty much. Yeah, it was kind of like it grew from that, and then it was kind of like me understanding what I liked and what I didn't like, and that's where my relationship with Les and 3 Beat Records started.
Yeah.
And it got that good that, you know, I couldn't, obviously going out to Liverpool every weekend was expensive.
Yeah.
So it was a case of Les said, "Well, we'll do mail order." He says, "So you give me a budget, and then every week I will send you a pack of vinyl."
Right.
And then what you don't like, just send us back, and then I'll credit your account.
Right.
So he gave me like an account, and so every week he'd send me a load of vinyl, house and trance stuff.
Right.
I'd pick out what I liked and send the other stuff back, and then he would just credit on my account.
So
that went on for years.
What was your preference at this point? Like, I know that you love house and trance, but like, what were you leaning towards?
I was leaning towards trance music. I was massively leaning more
just
that way.
before the boom at this point as well. Like, when everyone says trance in the good old days, they say 98, 99, don't they? That's what
Yeah,
they say,
yeah.
99, 2000. So at this point, you're getting into something that's about to blow up.
Yeah, no, but I didn't realise that. I was
yeah.
just I was just getting all my vinyl and trying to learn to DJ, and it was a case of like I wasn't taught to DJ. I basically sort of worked out that, you know,
How it worked, yeah, I know what you mean.
how it worked out. So it was a case of I had a crack with my mate at rugby training, and he said, "Well, all you do is like put one record on, then like you set it off to play, and then, you know, get another record on, and then, you know,
Yeah, you've got to learn your beats, your bars, and all that, and then
learn how to keep them in time first. You know, so start with learning how to keep them in time, then start trying different records and stuff like that. So the first thing I did was buy 2 records exactly the same,
yeah,
put them on the platters,
all
set
in
one
there.
off at one speed, one off at another, and then just try to keep them in time.
all in there,
And then
definitely.
I just spent hours and hours and hours. It drove mum and dad right up the wall. Just honing that beat matching skill.
Yeah.
And that was the whole thing. It was just, and then just adding more records in, adding more records in.
The same record was.
Not off the top of my head,
I'll
I
tell you,
couldn't.
man, Darude, Sandstorm, right?
Good choice.
No, well, it's just one of them things. Obviously, if you listen to the original mix of it on the vinyl, I used to set them off at the same time, and I'd chase the beat until knowing that bass line's coming, that offbeat bass line's coming in.
Yeah.
And if I could get it just nice and matched all the way to the break, I'd be like, nice.
Yeah.
It's moving. The ball's rolling. You're getting better. And then it went from there to the first 8 bars. So get it in on the first 8 bars, and then hold it to the break. There you go. It's getting better. And then, do you know what I mean? It just goes from there. That was mine. The two same vinyls. I didn't discover that until later. So I was trying to mix one tune into another, right? And it wasn't really working. But then I thought that bulb came off my head, and I was like, well, if I get the same record, they're gonna be at the same speed. So then I can practice that.
Well, yeah.
But it didn't in my head at first. It didn't click to get the two of the same record.
Yeah, and I don't know where I got that idea from. I don't know if I read it somewhere in one of in DJ
might be
Mag or
that,
something
might
like that. I've got it from somewhere, But it was just that thing of I had 2 records, and I just started off with the 2 records, moving the pitch around, chasing the beats, getting it all matched up, and then going again, learning mixing and mix out points as well.
Yeah.
I mean, trance records were great because the intros were like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
You had plenty of time to get it in.
Yeah. The only thing is, if you miss that last point, you just got to forget a minute and a half of drums to go through.
Yeah, it's just it can become quite monotonous in some ways. But back then, I think people had bigger attention spans as well.
That's we'll get into this as well. But like, I love listening to trance music, even the new stuff now. Like I listen to like State of Trance. I listen to the Ferry Corson show. Is it Resonation? Is it called now? He's renamed it now, isn't it? It used to be Corson's Countdown, and I listen to it. And I struggle a little bit, like keeping my focus on the sort of 130 trance, because it's not quite as melodic as the 138 stuff that I've listened.
Yeah.
So for me, I've got a preference of the 138 stuff, but I've discovered now even trance music, because obviously if you listen to house now, sometimes it's only 8-bar intro and drop into the thing. But even with trance, I think the intros and everything are getting shorter.
Yeah,
and
they are.
I don't like it. Like I of preference. If I sometimes write a record. Right?
I have a
Even
theory
records,
on why that is.
TikTok in it.
It's got I think TikTok does play a part in it, but I think this harks back to sort of like 2013 onwards, when lineups were stacked full of big names and they paid like for an hour.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
So the artists were like trying to get as many tracks in that hour as they possibly could.
But they didn't realise what they were conditioning the crowd to only like short spurts of songs and chasing the drop all the time as well. Like,
and I think lineups now have kind of changed to go back the other way, where there's less DJs on a lineup now, so that there's more time to play to sort of like, so they can do more with their music and stuff like that.
As a punter, like, I'd rather, like, this is just my preference. It doesn't mean for everyone. I'd rather watch 4 good DJs on a night than 14.
Yeah.
Like, if I know that, like, if I see a list of 4 or 5 good DJs on a lineup, I pick that over 20 good DJs that I know. But like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just because I know I'm gonna invest my time into listening to them, and they might start in one place and end in another. Whereas if I'm going to watch these 14 other good DJs, I'm only going to get short bursts, and it's going to be like listening to like a Queen, the best of. Like, but do you know what I mean? You're only going to get a best of.
They're pretty much just going to go and nail it for like a full hour, and then But it's like if you watch that, it's like every DJ is like going hammer and tongue for an hour, and it's just like by the end of it, you like think, well, that was an all right night, but where was the rest of it?
There's no journey.
Where was the journey?
I find. I'm a bad person for this myself. I find that I'll get new music, and I'll finish even my own tracks and stuff off, and like, it sounds bad saying it, but like, you always just stick to playing big bangers. You don't. I don't experiment as much as I should. So like this is my brain working, but this is my DJ theory. What I do is I play 2 tracks that I know work, and I play one that I'll think, let's see how it goes. That's my theory throughout. If you listen to any of my mixes or out like that, it'll be like 2 known tracks and then one that maybe it's not quite a big anthem.
Yeah.
It might never become a big anthem, or
if you don't try it, it's DJs are meant to introduce new music to people, but the problem is now is that there's so much stuff going into TikTok, Spotify, and all that before DJs can get their hands on an actual playable mix of it. In some cases. Yeah. So you find a lot of guys are going on downloading YouTube rips, and you
mentioned the Spotify thing. A lot of the house music now, I follow what I can't remember what it's called now. House UK. On Spotify, the official house thing. And I was listening the other day, and I thought that was a good tune, but it seemed like it was finished quick. So I put it back on, and I went back, and it's like, I think it was like 1 minute 50 seconds full track. Like, yeah, I know. But the thing
that doesn't even qualify. That's an intro.
The thing is, though, it's a smart fucking thing, because guess what? I thought, hey, that was fucking really good, that tune. Went back and played it again, so they're getting they're getting 2 plays for the price of one. Do you know what I mean? I know it's all marketing. And
Well,
stuff
if
like
you think
that.
about the price you get off Spotify for a play, was it 0.0048 pence or something like
it's
that?
ridiculous. But then again, if everyone goes back and listens to it again because they think, oh, that was decent, you listen to it more times, which it's you're shooting yourself in the foot, aren't you? If you
Definitely.
1 minute 50, because like even
I generally don't go on Spotify that much just because of that. I'm just kind of, it's just like, it's oversaturation for me. You know, it's hard to sort of like separate it out.
Well,
I
the
mean,
extended
like,
mixes of a
when-
track like that, it will only be what,
Well, yeah.
2.5 minutes, 3 minutes.
Probably, yeah. But I was kind of like, what I think about when I first started DJing, it was kind of like I was always looking when I was first DJing, when it was all on vinyl, you were looking for the track that nobody else had.
Yeah.
You were looking for that white label or that one piece of vinyl that nobody else had. So when you played it out, everybody thought, wow, that was him. And that kind of harks back to like the Northern Soul sort of thing, when all the Northern Soul DJs were fighting for vinyls, like 7-inch vinyls, just they wanted that piece of vinyl that nobody else had because it gave them so much credence. You know, like...
Some people, like yourself, maybe even, so everyone's got signature tunes.
Oh, yeah,
But
a
if
lot
you
of people have got
notice
signature
now, who's
tunes,
come in
yeah.
the last 10 years, 15 years, they don't have signature tunes because everyone's got them tunes. Do you know what?
Yeah.
Do you know what? And at least it sounds like we're going down a negative route, but it's not that at all. It's we should make music great again like that. Like
I think that needs to happen, but I think it's just that because it's so easily made now, and it's so and it's turned out that quickly that it's become, for me, a bit too throwaway. You know,
yeah,
and
no
I
one
think
appreciates an anthem, do they?
not anymore. You know, and it's, you know, maybe it's just because I'm old, but you know, they'd all say, you know, a lot of people say, oh, it's not as good as it used to be, but maybe it isn't, maybe it is. I don't know. It's a generation thing in some respects, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, think about me in '97, that's when like sort of like DJing became a thing for me, and that's when I started to explore it more. You know, and you know, I went on holiday to Ibiza for the first time.
In '97.
Yeah.
Wow. That is a good time to go as well.
It was '97,
You
'98.
seem to be you seem to be doing all the things that I'd do if I had the choice of being alive at a certain point. Like I'd love to have went to sort of the raves in the early '90s, and then I'd love to have went to Ibiza late '90s. And
Yeah.
you're hitting all the right spots. Do you know what I mean?
I think I was just fortunate more than anything else. You know, I went to Ibiza, once again, no expectations. I stayed in this hotel in San Antonio. And
What made you want to go, by the way? Like, sorry for interrupting, but just
the lass I was saying at the time, she said, oh, should we go to Ibiza? And I was like, yeah, fine. There's loads of good clubs and stuff. I was like, yeah, let's go.
right, okay. Like,
So-
I just whether you'd seen a flyer or something like that, or
See, a lot of my time was like sort of like early days, like going out in Egremont, Whitehaven, going up in the park and stuff like that. And, you know, like Stuart Wright and people like that were DJing upstairs in the park. And that was kind of like, sort of like, all right, there's a lot of guys playing this kind of music. What else is out there?
Yeah.
And kind of going on that little journey of discovery, you know, discovering Hacienda, then Cream, then Gatecrasher, you know, God's Kitchen, Ministry of Sound. You know, all those wonderful places, you know, the Lead Mill in Sheffield and all those kind of places like that. You know, I went to this club in Birmingham once called Wobble. No idea why they called it Wobble. Yeah, it was called Wobble. So it was basically in this building, like an old Victorian building on a corner of a street. And it used to be like a ballroom or something like that. And the dance floor was really spongy.
yeah.
And that's why it was called Wobble. Literally, you couldn't stand up in there.
Did you ever go to Trade or out like that? So,
No, I never went to Trade or anywhere like that. I mean, obviously I went to Garland's in Liverpool and places there, but I never got to Trade or anywhere like that.
Right.
I went to the first Creamfields.
Right. What year was that?
98, 99.
So were they promoting that at Cream? Like, were they saying, right, we're doing this concept of a festival?
Yeah, it was like a one-day festival then.
Right. Interesting.
So, I mean, my musical inspiration came from sort of like, that's when I started discovering Radio 1, you know, Pete Tong, Judge Jules,
Essential Mix and stuff
you know,
like that.
Essential Mix. And that's when I started to like try to understand where all the good music was.
Yeah.
And then I'd be on the phone with Les going, right, Les, have you got this? Have you got this? Have you got this? Have you got this? And he'd be like sending it all up in the records. So I'm sending records backwards and forwards with Les. Practicing, started doing mixtapes, giving mixtapes out to my mates and all that kind of thing. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, these are actually quite good. You know, you're onto something here. And then just carrying on with that, then going to Ibiza, experiencing Es Paradis in Ibiza. And that came along, like, just sat on the beach, you know, and they come along with the flyers. And to get in, it was like €20 to get in, and you got 3 free drinks. to go
It
to
wouldn't be that now.
to go to Manumission.
Yeah, class.
And I remember turning up for this Manumission party and walking in and didn't know what the hell was going on. And they were on stage. John Kelly was playing. Another big Liverpool DJ.
Yeah.
There's a big strong Liverpool connection with a lot of stuff I've done.
Absolutely. I feel always drawn towards it all the time. My favourite DJs are out of Liverpool. I think my favourite tunes were broke in Liverpool as well. Like, you know, where it came through, and then tunes are getting played all around the Northwest, and for me that's a big thing.
Unbeknownst to me, did I know that, like, because I was adopted at an early age, that all my family lived in Liverpool as well, which was
I didn't know that.
yeah. So
crazy, yeah.
So I was actually born in Liverpool as well.
There's like a natural connection to it as well.
Yeah.
Like how you kept
But it was at the time it was subliminal, because I didn't even know. That was until, like, I sat down with my parents that I lived at the time, and they basically told me the whole story, and like that's when I started the journey of discovery. But that's another story.
Mental.
And then, you know, I'm in S Paradise, Manumission's on, they're all on stage, there's a big show going on, and then there's the music's playing, and then they do this mock wedding. So they come out, there's a guy dressed as a vicar, there's a bride, there's a groom, there's a best man, there's a maid of honour, there's a wedding party and everything like that. Then the vicar just stands in and goes, "I now pronounce you husband and wife." The tunes just fire back up again, and next minute they all just get the clothes off and start shagging on stage.
Oh wow, that was
And I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, that is weird, but entertaining, I suppose. It depends how you look at it.
And Manumission, it wasn't until I started looking more about Manumission, I was talking to a guy on the beach at San Antonio, which wasn't very big at the time. Then it was like the tiniest beach ever. Obviously, it's had a lot more development over the years. And I said, I couldn't get over it. Like, they've just started, like, got naked and just started getting on with each other. And I was like, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's what they do all the time. Yeah, that's just normal Manumission. That's what happens all the time. This is Ibiza."
Wow, I wasn't expecting that. You caught me off guard there. Yeah,
and it had this massive swimming pool as well, for some reason, in the middle of it. And there was a guy DJing in the toilets.
Oh well, any opportunity
on turntables in the toilets, and it was just a very surreal experience. You know,
what was it Ibiza like? Like, because obviously you've been to Cream and you say you've been Gatecrashed and all these big places. Was it still at another level when you went there?
Oh yeah, it was. It was like nothing. It was like nothing on earth.
Yeah.
You know, I thought I'd discovered something big when I was going to Cream, and there was loads of people going to Cream.
That,
But going to Ibiza changed everything. And when I came back from Ibiza, that's what directed me to push with DJing more and start getting mixtapes out locally. And that's kind of when the story kind of moves to when I met Millsy.
Right.
So I was training in interim, and you know, I was just Alan, who was running the gym, he was like, "Oh, he's a DJ in there." So me and Millsy just kind of started talking to each other in the gym,
right?
And talking about stuff like that. And then I'd been handing out mixtapes around Workington, and ended up I gave one to this guy called Dave Harris, who ran a club called Main Street, and he said, "Oh, why don't you come down on a Friday? Because we're dead." He says, "Maybe you can get a load of your mates to come in as well."
Is this your first gig then?
This is the first gig, and this is where the first gig came in, and it was kind of like, he'd listened to the mixtape, and I came in and got in and played on the beginning of the night, and then some of my mates came around, so it was like 20 of my mates who were all rugby lads and stuff like that. They came and supported us and stuff like that, and then Millsy landed in with a load of his mates, and that's when we kind of started talking about it, and then we met in the gym after that, and I was like, "Oh, I seen you in Main Street, you were DJing." He said, "Yeah, I'm a DJ too," and I was like, "Why don't we do something together then?"
Right. See, I didn't know. This is an eye opener for me. I didn't know this either.
So me and Millsy met in the gym, which is quite ironic.
Where's Mainstream at, by the way?
Well, you know Weatherspoons?
Yeah.
That used to be cinema, and there used to be a pub underneath it called the Bull and Butch, which was like more of a like rock pub. And it was like, you know, you went in there, you got a fight. Right. You know, you could go downstairs into the Bull and Bush for a fight, or you could go to the cinema, or there was Main Street, which was on the top floor of this building, which used to be called the Rendezvous Cinema. And so that was just a club there. It then it shut down for a while after that, and then became ISIS. And then after that, it shut down because of Fusion. And then that's where the kind of the Fusion story comes into it a bit. So obviously we DJ'd in Main Street. And so me and Millsy decided to start doing gigs together.
Right.
One of the gigs, first gigs we did was one of the guys who was an instructor called Craig in interim. So the three of us got together and we put on this party for the students at the college.
Right.
And we called it the Ibiza Beach Ball.
Right.
And so what we did was, because I'd seen all this shit in Ibiza.
You were like trying to put your vision of what it was like.
Yeah, so Craig was a joiner. So Craig got a load of like MDF and made like a cream sign, Ministry of Sound sign, and all the big club name signs. So we hung all them up in there. Yeah. We got this. We had to go to PLE to get it. We got this big roll of white material, right, and stuck it in my mum's bath with a load of fireproofing. And then we hung it across the stage at the Forum nightclub, which now doesn't exist anymore because it's got knocked down when it was like on the back of the Westlands Hotel.
I know, yeah.
So there was a Forum nightclub, and they had like a big stage where they used to have like PAs on and stuff like that. Yeah. They had like think of any sort of girl group at the time in the mid-90s, and they were all there.
Lads on the podcast
all Saints and things like that have all played there. There was loads of that going on. I know Righty was a resident on the Saturday with Phil Goodall and Mally Chung.
Yeah.
And so we just did this night on a Friday. So we not only did we do all the decor, and we put this big white sheet across the front of the stage, and we lit it up from the back, and we got some of our mates to dance behind it.
Right.
And it just like casting these silhouettes onto it. So there's like me, Millsy, Craig DJ, and we'd organised the event, we'd done the promo, done the flyers, sold tickets.
Yeah.
Got all the venue set up ready, looking to go. We'd fill the dance floor full of balloons. We'd glitter in them. Right. So when the balloons popped, they were getting covered in glitter. Oh, it was messy as fuck, yeah. And we even talked to like Stagecoach, which was Cumberland Motor Services at the time, and they put buses on from all over the place for in relation to the college. So we had a bus from Penrith, we had a bus from Cockermouth, a bus from Whitehaven, a bus from Maryport, and we just brought all these people. There was like, I think there was about 800 kids.
Class.
Just came in on this Friday night, and we just filled the Forum and just had it all big all night. We were just playing all our tunes. All the tunes that Millsy loved, all the tunes that I loved, all the tunes that Craig loved. We just played all our tunes that we just wanted to play to everybody. And honestly, it was the best night to that point that I'd ever had. And they offered us a residency off the back of it. They said, "Well, do you want to do something else?" And we said, "Well, should we do an under-18s night?" So we started doing an under-18s night there on a Friday.
Sort of money signs, didn't they? Yeah, there was 800 sort of getting in.
And I think that was just because I had like a big group of friends. Millsy had a big group of friends, and like all our friends kind of got friends with each other. So we had this massive network of friends.
Yeah.
Who would just turn up to see us play wherever it was.
Class.
And so we started doing under-18s night, and we were selling it out. It was packed every week. It was that good that the owners of the Forum got like a commendation from the police saying, like, since you started doing this under-18s night, antisocial behaviour is like pretty much being eliminated.
Class.
So they were really happy about that.
Did you keep the Ibiza Beach Ball?
No, we just called it an under-18s night. The Ibiza Beach Ball was just something we came up with. It was like an idea that Millsy came up with. Why did we just call it Ibiza Beach Ball? And we like hung all these beach balls up as well.
Yeah. Class. So how long did that go on for then? The under-18s at the Forum?
I think I lasted, it went on for about 6 months because like the Forum was kind of going downhill because ISIS had opened in town.
Yeah.
So obviously that had kind of become the new place, and it had been done out.
Easy access and all that.
And all that. So it kind of sort of was a decline for the Forum. And so it kind of ended, and so me and Mills were like at the end of it. So when it came to the end and the Forum closed, we were like, "Oh, what we're going to do?" I says, "Why don't we just buy a sound system and see if we can do any gigs in town?" So me and Mills got a sound system and went halves on it, and then we just started doing gigs around town in all the bars in town.
Yeah.
And it was this is sort of like we're sort of like going into like 98 into 99, and partway through 99, it was they'd started building Fusion, so we knew there was a nightclub getting built, but we had no idea who was building it or what was behind it.
Yeah.
And I was sat at rugby training, and one of the guys who played rugby with owned a door company, a guy called Paul Harrison. Everybody knew him as Ocky.
Yeah.
I mean, he's passed away a few years back now, and but he's another guy who sort of helped me on my way, because he got me my first sort of like big gig at the Forum, so where I warmed up for Nigel Benn. So I don't know if anybody knows, but Nigel Benn was a boxer.
Yeah.
He was massive at the time. Him and Chris Eubank were going toe to toe on many occasions.
So it's like a celebrity
So that was
cameo appearance.
Yeah,
like
so that was him DJing, yeah. So
it's like Craig Charles, isn't it?
well, yeah, it's a bit like Craig Charles or anybody like that now. James Haskell, who's gave up rugby and becoming a big DJ.
Yeah.
And so he was like, oh look, is this new club going to get built in Workington? He said, I know the owner. He said, I'll get you an introduction. So I rang Mills. I was like, mate, this is it. I said, this is our chance. This is our chance.
Yeah.
He said, I've got us a meeting with a guy called Ron Adams in Whitehaven.
Right.
At the John Paul Jones. I said, what can we possibly do to impress him? So Mills was like, right, let's get some mix tapes together. He said, let's get like a PowerPoint. We'll put a PowerPoint together. I was like, is that not a bit much? And he was like, no, we'll do it. I was like, right. So we sat and made this PowerPoint, got our mix tapes, and we went through it to see Ron. We sat down with Ron and took him through everything that we thought about and all our ideas about dance music and stuff like that. And
to be able to see the enthusiasm of it, so I bet you that was a big part of it.
It was, yeah, because we had a big group of friends, but we also had this massive enthusiasm, and it was kind of like, because we'd done the Ibiza Beach Ball, people were starting to recognise that we were DJs, and people were understanding what we were all about.
Yeah.
And so we sat with Ron, and Ron said, right, I want you to come to another meeting in Cockermouth with the other owners, because it was like there wasn't just him.
Yeah.
There was other owners,
shareholders sort of thing.
Yeah, basically the money people.
Yeah.
So there was Tony and Ann Waring, a guy from Thomas Armstrong's, and a guy called David, who's got like an accountancy firm in Cockermouth. Yeah. So we went through to the Fletcher Christian. We sat with them, took them through the same presentation. They asked us a few questions about design and all that kind of stuff, and then said, the only thing we don't have is a name for the club. So Ron basically turned around to us and said, look, lads, he said, you'll get the gig if you can name the club.
Right. What was some of the ideas that came up then?
So this is how we got to Fusion, right? So me and Millsy went back to his house, and we got the dictionaries out, got thesauruses out and all sorts, and we were just looking through, thinking words, just throwing stuff out there and all that kind of stuff. And then I just started thinking, like, because of like where Millsy works and where I've worked, I said fusion. What's fusion in the dictionary? And I was like, oh, I looked at fusion. It's like, oh, like things coming together, bringing stuff together. And I was like, that sounds perfect. So I rang Ron up and went, we think we should call the club Fusion. And I said, because we think, fusion like is where, nuclear fusion is like you're splitting the atom and you're creating something bigger.
Yeah.
Whereas like fusion, you could be fusing things together. So it's where people come together to meet.
Quality, what a story. What a story. I honestly didn't know the origins or anything. For anyone watching, there you go. There's a little fucking Easter egg for you.
And that's where fusion got its name from.
Was there any what's the word? Honourable mentions, so to say, of what names you come up with? Is anything?
Not off the top of my head.
Possibly called?
It could have been called anything. It could have been called Ready Breck. Where we came up with so many different names, but with that one just kind of
it clicked.
It just literally clicked. And when we rang Ron up and told him, he was like, "That's brilliant, guys!" And within 3 days, the sign had been drawn and they sent it to us.
Yeah.
They got us in for another meeting. What do you think of that? And we were like, "That looks mint." Anyway.
It's quite an iconic logo, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really? Like it looks.
Yeah.
There's nothing else I've seen like it anyway, for that way.
No, and that's why I had like the sort of like the lightning going through and stuff like it was like an explosion, like so we kind of like splitting the atom kind of thing going on.
I honestly didn't know that, but that's class.
And so me and Millsy became the residents.
Yeah.
And so Ron then asked us, he says, well, what do you want to do? How do you want to do this? And we said, right, Creamfields is on in September. Why don't we go on? Me and Millsy would go on with all our friends. I said, why don't you come Creamfields and we'll show you what we want to do.
Yeah.
So Ron, obviously, we went down. Yeah, we stayed in some like student halls down at Liverpool. Ron went in a stretch limo.
Yeah, obviously.
And we met with him, and we took him into the big circus tent.
Yeah.
And we went, and we basically went, Paul Oakenfold's coming on, and this is what we want to do.
Right. Well, it explains, it's quite self-explanatory, isn't it? Like,
yeah, and from then it kind of like Ron understood what we were trying to do. So we then came up with a brand called Industry.
Right.
and so we opened when Fusion opened. It opened with a night called Industry, and we had Sunday Central tour on.
Right.
And that's how it all began.
Class.
Partway through, obviously, they were looking for other DJs as well, and that's when Pete Varty came into the mix as well, just before Fusion opened.
Yeah.
So there was like me, Millsy, Pete Varty, Vinyl Man, as everybody knows him, and we were the three residents. And so basically, we decided as a group that we would take it in turns. Somebody would play first early doors, then warm up before the main act, and then after the main act. And we just rotated that round each week.
Yeah.
But how we got to booking big name DJs or booking acts was even funnier, because when we were doing the Ibiza Beach Ball and the forum stuff, I rang a guy up in London called Gary Dillon, who ran a record shop called Release the Groove.
Right.
Release the Groove Records, and while the whole Fusion thing was getting built, we went down to see Gary in London at his record shop.
Yeah.
And Gary helped us book the DJs. From his shop in London.
Yeah,
because he was in London, and pretty much every DJ who was worth his salt lived in London,
right.
and went into his shop. Now, Gary was very influential in London with regards to DJs, so he would basically book the DJs for us and then send them up on the train.
All right, that's not bad, is it?
So
can you give me some of the names who came up via that route?
Well, pretty much all the early DJs that came to Fusion, so Mark Claude, Sunny Central Tour, all the DJs that came with that, Miss Tyson, Des Mitchell, the Club of Vision tour.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever come across Club of Vision.
Are you joking? Of course.
Everybody's saying the Club of Vision. I got a lot of hate off that, you know.
You can go into that if you want.
I will when I get to it, but like he was just booking all the DJs for us. So we had DJs like from the Gallery, from every big club around the UK coming to play, and the thing that got really interesting about Fusion was how it grew. So it went from sort of like opening big to getting even bigger. And you still didn't have social media and that all at this point. None of this social media stuff was going on.
Word of mouth.
So, I remember being in Fusion, and I've talked to guys from Birmingham, talked to guys from over in the northeast, talked to guys from Scotland, and they were all travelling to Fusion. The car park was full of buses.
Yeah.
At the time as well, I remember.
I think a lot of people forget this, don't they? Like a lot of people seem to think, like, for you were saying just before, you and your mates got in the car, went down to Hacienda, went down to Cream.
Yeah.
People were travelling for the music, but people seem to forget around in Cumbria, people used to travel to Cumbria for the experience.
Cumbria became a mecca of dance music.
Ironic. Crazy when you think about it, isn't it?
It just blew my mind when we were talking to so many people that were from so many different areas, not just of Cumbria, but outside of Cumbria as well. So, and when I did the Club of Vision thing, I was asked to go and front it.
Yeah.
And everybody else was asked, but I think Ron was kind of like, "You go on and do it."
Yeah.
Because you've been here from the start. So I did the Club of Vision thing, and a few people sort of like thought, "Oh, what a knob it is," and stuff like that. So people kind of have different opinions of me.
You on the Club of Vision? The stuff I've seen is basically it was just snapshots of every sort of angle of the clubs.
Well, I did a full interview on it.
Oh, right. I've not seen it.
There's actually an interview from that programme that I'm actually in.
Oh, right.
So they interviewed Lisa Pinup.
Right.
And then they interviewed me, and that was fun part of the programme, as well as interviewing all of the guests.
Yeah,
and,
I've seen it I've seen it where it made Cumbrians look absolutely fucking mental. Like,
I think it endeared us to the rest of the UK, because you just thought, like, they're having a great time, we're going to go and have a great time with them, because they all sound as fuck. And Cumbrians are without doubt the best people to go out with.
Yeah.
And Scousers as well.
I genuinely think this. Like, and I've said it before on other podcasts. Like, I think that Cumbrians are really undervalued or underestimated.
Oh, massively.
How fucking good a night out can be with Cumbrians, because for us, we're that segregated and separate from everyone else, that when we get an away day and we go to Liverpool or Newcastle, we fucking wreck the spot. Like,
well, we do, we go out to go out, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, it's always when you hear stories, like, I don't know about you, but like within the bounce scene, if I hear anything of any craziness going on, it's all like 90% of the time the core of it's always started from Cumbrians, and it's
Oh yeah,
just like
it's massive.
And a lot of the promoters from outside of Cumbria love coming to Cumbria because they know they're gonna get a good positive response. Whereas they might go somewhere else and it'd be like, oh well, it was alright, but they know when they come up here they're gonna get a load of fucking lunatics.
I think it's appreciated. That's because it's just appreciated because it doesn't happen that often. You know, when
absolutely.
when Fusion opened in '99, it was week in, week out, guest DJs, me, Millsy, and Pete just smashing it every week. You know, to the point that where we're pulling up in our cars and people want to carry a record box in to get into the club. that's where it got to, where like, you know, kids were like hanging around outside waiting for you to come in so they could carry a record box in. I mean that became like such. I know you.
I know this is a quite. I don't want to put you on the spot, but like quite an uncomfortable question to ask. But have you ever been asked for like a photo or like that, like or pulled over to one side and be like, "Are you so and so?" And then like they know you from being a DJ sort of thing, right?
It used to happen a lot in the early days of Fusion. It happened all the time.
All the time.
I mean, I stayed at Fusion for a year and a bit, and then the business model changed for Fusion, and the direction changed, and Ron Adams left.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get to grips with what they were changing and how they were unraveling everything that me, Millsy, and Pete had worked so hard for.
Yeah.
Millsy decided to stay and stick it out and go with this more commercial music policy that they wanted to push, but I was kind of so entrenched in where I was at and just believed so strongly with it that I said, look, moving the night to a Friday is the worst thing you can do because everybody that comes to these nights travels. The buses on the car park tell me that. You know, they're working in the hairdressers and the shops and Saturday jobs.
Finish till 5 o'clock on a Friday.
You know, and then they're travelling in. So, I mean, you know, nine times out of 10, you know, they're working on a Saturday, finishing work, and then because they know they've got Sunday off, we're going Fusion.
Yeah.
Whereas if you move this night to a Friday, you're just going to dilute what you've already got.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. But the reason they wanted to move it because they thought they got these consultants in, you know, who went
professionals.
Yeah.
They don't know the industry whatsoever. They just look at metrics and statistics. And
they just look at bar sales, and that was it. One of the funniest things New Year's Eve I've ever seen, and it was New Year's Eve. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and Fusion had this like proper state of the art till system where they could track sales and everything like that. And one of the owners was walking around doing a bit of glass collecting, and I turned around and looked at him and I was like, he's glass collecting all right. He's collecting fulls, not empties. To try and generate more sales. I was like, have they not made enough money tonight? Because he'd been rammed all night.
I know, yeah. I know it's a game plan. I've seen it in action before. Definitely.
And that was like one of my first eye openers in Clubland. You know, the ruthlessness of club owners and to keep the money churning through the tills. But you know, I kind of moved away at that point. There was a lot of politics going on, and other DJs wanted to come into the club. I didn't identify with that, so I just like, right, it's time for me to go. And then through a very odd conversation I was having with a guy who used to come to Fusion all the time, he said, I've been talking to the owner of the park. He says he wants to have a meeting with you. So I went down to the park nightclub, and he was kind of walking in, and it was like a Friday night, and I was walking in just to go for the meeting. There was like a big queue outside the park, and people were like going, "Hey, that's High Kennedy. That's a DJ from Fusion. What's he doing here? Is he playing here tonight or what? You know, it's going to be good in here." That
recognition thing can be quite uncomforting, can't it? Like,
I always thought that I always got a bit awkward around that.
Yeah, I don't like it because I don't get it on a big scale. Don't get me wrong, but when people know who you are and you don't know who they are, you don't know why they know you.
Yeah.
Because we're such a small, tight-knit community, because that's what we are, isn't it? Like West Cumbria, everyone seems to know each other. So if someone's going their side, you don't know if he knows you from work, or it's your fucking, or your cousin's fucking brother, or your brother's friend, or do you know what I mean? Like, it could be anything. And then when they identify you as a DJ, it's like, oh, well, they don't actually know who I am then.
Yeah. But for me, kind of like from that move, so I moved to the park, got them to install a better sound system upstairs and started working upstairs with a couple of guys. And just that I was just rolling with that because
this is where I first heard you, by the way.
After the Club of Vision stuff, I started getting offers to go and play outside of Cumbria.
Yeah.
You know, so I was going down to Leeds, I was going to Manchester, I was going down to London. I played in a few clubs in Brixton in London.
Yeah.
So there was the Mass, which was a big church, and the place called Dogstar in Brixton.
Right.
So I was starting to play more gigs outside of Cumbria then as well. And so playing the park on a regular basis just to get some money coming in.
Yeah, and just to keep your name local as well.
And just to keep myself relevant and local. And then just sort of like, that was kind of like the next few years after that, it was just kind of run of the mill doing that stuff.
Well, I heard of you in 2004. You were at the park then, weren't you?
Yeah, I was at the park then, yeah.
Well, I can remember going into... Oh, what is the place called now? What was it? There was a record shop in Workington. You used to sell like CD packs and...
Oh, yeah. It was on Murray Road, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
so I used to go in there, get a CD pack all the time. And I got one that was from the park.
The guy who owned it was called Graham. He was an Everton fan. That's how I knew about him.
But I got a pack and it was... You were on. It was just a recording from the park. And I was like, oh, who's this guy? Do you know what I mean? Like, starting to get to know local DJs and stuff like that. And at this point, I just... You were just... Like I can't remember if it was like Simon K or Simon Kennedy.
Yeah, I think it was Simon K, something like that.
Yeah,
I never knew what to call myself, but because
Yeah,
my name's Simon Kennedy, and that's it. I was like, do I just create an old complete pseudonym that nobody would even recognise, or do you just? I've always kind of got hung up about DJ names. I just felt awkward about having something different than my name.
Yeah, I heard it, and I'd on the CD pack that you were on, this one in particular. You were playing sort of like trance anthems and just Scouse House stuff as well. So at that point, I was like, I didn't know it was
Was that a recording from the Maritime Festival?
I don't think so. No, it was. I'm sure I've talked about this on the podcast as well. It was Solid Beats. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah. So basically, right, how that come about was this is how it links to how I ended up at Digital in Newcastle.
Right.
So basically, where Argos is now, there used to be like loads of little small start-up shops in there, and there was a guy in there who ran a record shop, a guy called Ben Yates, who you might know as Felix Leiter.
Right.
And he was running a record shop in there called Beats Working.
Right.
And then there was a guy opposite him called Phil Curtis, who was running like an internet business, like graphic design, all that kind of stuff. And then they came out of there and moved into a shop on Church Street.
Right.
And Ben moved to Newcastle. And he asked me, he says, "Oh, do you want to take over the record shop?" And I said, "Yeah, but I can't commit to it fully." I said, "But if Phil's willing to sort of help us out, I'll do it." So we took on Beats Working and we changed the name to Solid Beats.
Right.
And that's when I started buying in all the Scouse House and stuff like, because everyone was into that like Scouse House, like bouncing.
What's sold, isn't it? Yeah.
Because that's what's sold. So we're selling house and Scouse House and stuff like that. I had my decks and everything in there as well, with my speakers. All my record collection was in there as well.
So is Felix from round here?
Yeah, he's from Carlisle.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a Carlisle lad.
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, well, I became friends with Ben and he come to play in the park with us a few times. This was pre-Felix Leiter. And then I got married and he moved to Newcastle and we kind of sort of like drifted, and then I got divorced and we become friends again.
Right.
So at the time, the park had closed and I'd started DJing in Carlisle.
Right.
So I then went to DJ at Terminal 1 in Carlisle because it was through like a mutual connection that Dave Coates, who was working at Fusion at the time, who said, "Oh, can you come and do a gig for us in Carlisle? I don't want to do it. Will you go and do it?" And then I got offered a residency at Terminal 1.
Right.
So Dave got me pretty much a big residency because Terminal 1 was...
very popular nightclub.
It was a commercial nightclub because it had a party room and it had a dance music room, and then it had like a sports bar upstairs and then a burlesque bar, which eventually became the strip club.
Yeah.
And so I literally worked in Terminal 1 from the day it opened till the day it closed.
Right.
So that was like, at its peak, I was like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Mm-hmm. Just being that gigging jock, just week in, week out, just playing commercial dance, R&B, working in the party room, sort of like getting used to playing different styles of music.
Yeah.
So it was like a massive learning curve for me because up until that point, all I'd done is play underground, house, trance,
it's like
the early Scouse stuff.
You're the jock who's got to keep the crowd... This is, I know we're getting sort of too intertwined into it or too in depth, but when you become a club DJ, you're not there to keep them on the dance floor. You've got to play records that'll maybe take them for a piss break, or maybe take them to go to the bar to get a drink.
Yeah.
You don't keep it on a high. You've just got to it's like a nice little wave thing, a proper like club jock. That's what you are.
Yeah,
And you're like,
that's what it became. But it was the art form of learning to read a crowd and read a dance floor, and knowing when to play the right tracks, knowing how to move them, bring them up, bring them
That's
down,
what I mean. Move
them to the left, move them to the right. You know,
well, that's what it is, though, isn't it? Like, so you'll play a tune thinking, right, this is going to go off. You'll have them loving it on the dance floor, where that's the memory that they'll hold forever. And then you maybe wind it down a little bit so they know to go and buy more drink. And then it's one of these subconscious things where you do it and you know what you're keeping that crowd entertained.
it's
You're
like a
not burning
big
them out after.
psychological exercise.
It is. No,
it is massively.
I know
Yeah.
we're getting quite deep into it, but it's a big. It's a psychological game that you're playing, and they don't know they're playing it.
No.
Yeah.
They've just paid the money to come in and dance and have fun and pull and
In their head,
meet
they don't
their
know why
future
they're
wife.
going for a fag. Do you know what I mean?
I mean,
That's what it is.
Since while I was at Terminal 1, I think I DJ'd about 5 weddings from people who met when I was DJing.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
And I ended up DJing their weddings in Carlisle. I think most of them are still together.
Well, at least
Let me know. But then that's where I learned the art of the 5-hour, 6-hour sets. Making sure you've got enough music to get you through the night and learn how to move crowds and understand that. And it was then like obviously me and Ben sort of like got back in touch, and then he was talking about. I was like, "Oh, what are you doing in Newcastle?" He says, "Oh, I'm doing some bits of Revolution and all that kind of stuff." But I've got a few gigs going at Digital on Newcastle, and then out of the blue, he rang me up. He's like, I was just at home, and he was like, "Mate, where you at?" I was like, "I'm just at home." He's like, "Right, it's Monday night. I'm stuck in an airport in Spain and I can't get back to Newcastle. Can you go and cover Digital for me?" I was like, "Yeah, fine, no brother." So I jumped in the car, drove over to Newcastle, turned up at Digital, didn't know what the fuck was going on, walked into the main room and did their student night on a Monday night.
Mega clubber.
Now, you imagine, right, Monday night in Whitehaven, dead.
Oh, but student nights are a whole different ballgame.
I was not prepared at all for what I was about to witness. So I walked into Digital and I just started playing music like I would have done at Terminal 1, just mixing up a bit.
Early doors, yeah.
Early doors. And it just started filling up. Unbeknownst to me, because I'd gone in the back door. Outside the front door, there was a queue right out the centre of life.
Well, there you go, then.
Of 2,000 kids.
Yeah. Honestly, uni night's the way forward, mate. I'm telling you.
And it was it was from that night I went in there. Obviously, I did really well, and it kind of from there. Ben basically turned around and said, "Do you want to do more stuff over here?" And I was like, "Yeah, cool." So he introduced me to a guy called Mike Hesketh.
Right.
Now Mike is a huge promoter over in Newcastle. Like if it was big, he had his name on it.
Yeah.
There's him and a guy called Brian Elgie and Ben Griff who run like Loose Days and stuff like that, and they do all the major big events over there. Loose Fest's coming up. They've done that. But Mike he was like, if it was a student night, it was his.
Yeah.
And it was full. So, that's when I started DJing in the O2 Academy, doing a night called Dirty Pop.
I didn't know you'd done that. So
2,000 students on a Friday night in Newcastle in the O2 Academy with various sort of backup things going on. One night there was Fat Man Scoop there, what I mean? And stuff like that,
Quality.
Warming up Fat Man Scoop.
I've seen. He's done a few smaller clubs around the northwest, and it's mental seeing this man who's Fat Man, like the man who is Fat Man Scoop.
Yeah.
And he's
you do get starstruck. I'm just stood there going, wow.
Because he walks around with a presence there.
Yeah, he has got he's a presence. I mean, he's a big guy, but he's got a presence and he's so nice.
Yeah. But and then that voice on the mic as well, because all he's like, he's an MC, isn't he? He hosts the night and he does the crowd chants back and forth. And
he just works a crowd. He just owns a crowd.
Yeah, but it's
it's like
good stage presence.
It's no different to like the MCs in the bounce scene. When they get in there. The crowd.
The good MCs in the bounce scene.
Well, yeah, the good MCs in the bounce scene. When they get in there, the crowd are hanging off every word they're saying, and I don't love or hate MCs. You know what I mean? I think they have a place in whatever genre of music they want to be in.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just like I went to Warehouse Project to see David Guetta when David Guetta before he become really really commercial. And it was Warehouse Project, David Guetta and Chucky was on warm up, and Chucky had a hype guy.
Yeah. But as I say, it works, doesn't it? There's a few people you see now, like, as you say, like, like Fatman Scoops is a very niche thing because he's one genre on his own, really.
Oh, he is, yeah.
But then you get the likes of, I don't know if you follow the Clubheads. They take an MC to wherever they go.
Yeah.
The MCs are not, there's no such thing as that in like European like dance music. There's no like what a bounce MC is anyways.
No,
and he's just
definitely
a hype
not.
man who'll
You just get hype men all over the place, you know.
And then I've seen a few people who's doing it now, even though
I suppose like when you think about Dimitri Vegas and like Mike,
yeah,
you know, DJ with a hype man.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And it's happening on such a big scale because even in festivals and that now, I'm sure I've seen, was it Ben Nicky? Ben Nicky did a thing and he got like stomping on, and like it was a very famous North East MC.
Topping did that, didn't he?
Topping
did it at some gig he did in Newcastle in lockdown, wasn't it? When everybody was in pens.
Yeah, sorry, it might have been Topping, not Ben Nicky then. Sorry, and he's playing his stuff, and he didn't get him and come on and do his crazy MC and stuff. He just came on and just hosted it, but like it's in the right environment, it can work so well.
Oh yeah, it can transform a room from just being sort of really good to like electric, like pure electric. You can just see the hairs on people's arms just standing on end when they cut in, and when they cut in at the right moment, you can't beat it. You literally can't beat it.
The ones who know how to do it and let the music breathe, because they can build you right up on a build up, and they can really hype and get the crowd up, and then sometimes just stop, and when the beat kicks in, that's when people's in euphoria. Do you know what I mean?
I think sometimes as well, MCs can help bring new tracks in as well. So you know, if there's tracks that nobody's heard, but they know it, and they know that they know the DJ and they know the track, you know, they can really introduce new music to people as well.
Oh, absolutely. So we're going to move on to the sort of the late 2000s now. So what point did the park shut? Like,
so the park closed in 2005. I then moved on to Terminal 1, and Terminal 1 was like 2005 to 2010.
Yeah.
And then sort of like towards the end of that, obviously, the Terminal 1 started closed down and wanted to become this big thing called Las Vegas Strip, which was an absolute shambles. Yeah. I was pleased I was asked not to be involved with that.
Bad creative.
Yeah, it was a terrible idea. Yeah. It was over-ambitious and under-delivered.
Oh yeah, Las Vegas Strip in Carlisle, it says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I then went to work at Unit in Carlisle, which then became Havana.
Right.
So that was like sort of like early 2010, but it was only on Fridays. But I was still doing, and that's when I got invited back to Fusion.
Right.
So that was when, I opened Fusion and subsequently closed it. Right. So then I went back to play at Fusion with Andy Kelly.
Yeah.
But I was playing at Digital once a month now. So I was doing the main room at Digital on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
So at that time, like EDM was the big sort of music choice. But
coming through, innit? Yeah.
So I was playing like house music, EDM, and it just how big that went. So, you know, the memories I have in Digital are very vivid because of the way the Geordies go.
Right.
So I just remember I was playing Felix was doing like a gig somewhere and I was going in Digital cover, and he openly told me that the reason he got me to do his gigs because he was the only guy I could trust that wouldn't try and nick the gig from him.
Yeah.
And try and undercut him or anything like that. He would just do his thing and then I would go and do my thing.
Yeah.
So it became like a regular thing.
Yeah.
You know, so he helped me out quite a lot because that like got me some obviously that started getting me noticed once again. So it was like that real peak with Fusion, then a bit of a low ebb to where like the park, and then obviously I vanished up to Carlisle, so nobody out West Cumberland really knew who I was for a while, but until they started coming through to Carlisle and seeing what I was doing in Carlisle. So going to Newcastle and playing Digital opened me up to an even bigger crowd of people.
Yeah.
At this point I still haven't actually made a track.
Right.
Because I just didn't have the time between
between
DJing and working and family life.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the time to spend hours in the studio to make a track.
Yeah.
And so playing a main room at Digital on a Saturday night, for me, was massive. You know, you imagine you're in one of the biggest clubs in the UK, it's full, and literally every track you play, they are hanging off the end of, and the atmosphere in there was ridiculous. Excellent. I could play anything, anything at all, and they would go for it.
Excellent. That's fucking... It's a big achievement, really, isn't it? Like, it's probably it's the biggest in the Northeast by far. But even like your average Joe in Cumbria probably knows what digital is. Like,
Yeah.
it's a big thing. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
The thing was, I was turning up there on a Saturday night and I was playing for 5 hours.
Yeah.
So I got to orchestrate the whole night.
Yeah.
So taking it from sort of like 118 BPM to like 136 BPM when you're really getting into the really good EDM stuff.
Yeah.
And seeing that, getting to 4 o'clock in the morning and the lights coming up and that dance floor's full and they ain't leaving.
Yeah. That's a good feeling. That is a good feeling.
And I remember I was playing with a guy from Bournemouth, a guy called James Herks, who'd come up one night, he'd done a radio show in Bournemouth, and so he'd been in touch with Ben, and so he said, oh, well, why don't you come and play with Si one night? I'm away, you and him, come and stay at my flat. So Ben gave his keys to his flat, and we all stayed in his flat. And then we went to play digital, and then I dropped Sweet Disposition.
Right.
At around 3 o'clock in the morning, and the night had been bubbling nicely all night, but I dropped this at 3 o'clock in the morning, and the lighting jock in digital, a guy called Andy Keenan.
Right. Did he know what was coming?
He was brilliant.
Yeah.
I remember when I first met him, I walked in, he was like, look, mate, don't be a dick on the mixer, and I'll make you sound amazing, and I'll make you look amazing with the lighting. He says, if you're going to be a cunt, and I'll fuck your life up. I was like...
yeah, I like people like that, straightforward, innit? Straightforward.
And I got on with him really well, still talk to him now. And so it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, the drop came in from Sweet Disposition, the whole room just lit up, and I was smashed, and I just stood on top of the DJ box like that, and then the crowd just begged me to jump into them. What do you do?
Jump in.
You go.
So you jumped in, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, class.
That was my one and only crowd surf moment.
Oh, God. Class.
But honestly, the nights I played in digital were always memorable. No matter what, they'll always be some of the best nights I've ever had DJing. Just because it was a function, playing on a Function One sound system in a DJ box the size of your house.
Yeah. Was that you peaking there? Is that what you?
Yeah, I think that's peaking. You're peaking when you're playing in one of the biggest clubs in the country.
Yeah.
The sound, when the PA system in the DJ booth is like most bars in Whitehaven.
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean.
You're doing well.
Yeah.
When you've got 4 CDJs in front of you with a top of the range mixer.
That's what all super clubs were like, though.
Yeah, they were.
Standard at that point.
Yeah, they're all well kitted out. Being involved in nights like Electrica and playing at the O2 Academy. And saying like Calvin Harris, Lesso, Blaster Jacks, Nervo,
class.
all those things.
They're big EDM artists.
Yeah, all those massive EDM artists. You just being in the mix with all that, and working with guys like Mike, who was so good at what he did. One of the best promoters I've ever came across.
So moving forward, then from there, what was next for you? So we're sort of getting 2015-ish.
So mid 2015, my life's changing a lot. I've got a new wife. Life's changing, work, older, and I'm settling into unit and carving my way in unit, which then became Havana. Yeah. And it was kind of at that point I'm like, I started thinking about like, I've been really lucky where I've been given opportunities by a lot of good people, like Ron Adams, Ben, Mike,
everything's just worked
guys at Fusion, and it's like, I need to start, I want to try and give it back. How do I give it back?
Yeah.
So, back then, I'm at this point now, it's like 2016, 2017, club, Rock Bar's taken off, so I'm doing bits in the Rock Bar. I've been back at Fusion's gone. So there's not really a lot going in work. And Whitehaven's kind of bubbling when, Rock Bar became Club 135, and I got asked to go and be a resident at Club 135. Yeah. And so things are just starting to change and things are evolving. Johnny Donnett's coming through with the Electric Soup. All you guys are coming up as well. Persy and all them are the bounce scene's starting to gather more momentum. Yeah, I used to do these random nights at Padua's called #sesh.
Right.
Which were just insane. One night we did like a sort of like an El Row sort of takeoff where we just got loads of inflatables.
Right.
And we used to do nights in there. But it's like I've got a different group of friends, so like, all my friends are like my age, married kids, like
I
walking,
found that as well. Yeah.
like walking up hills and doing sort of more sedate life, and I'm like, yeah, come on, where's the party? Let's keep going.
I find that. It's like you were saying before. Do you know when you were saying before, and you could say you put an event on and you'd have 20 minutes follow you to wherever you're playing, like
Yeah.
the rugby lads and that. It's like now with me, I've said this before. I can't fill a car because my mates are settled down with kids, or
Yeah,
they're past the days of going out every weekend.
yeah, the demographics changed. So
Yeah.
I kind of started working with a lot of younger guys. Like some like Drew Field, Dave Tunstall, Rory Wood.
Yeah.
And then started, Johnny's doing his bits with Electric Soup, and I've never played any gigs at Electric Soup, but I've never pestered Johnny to ask for gigs at Electric Soup because it's their thing, it's their scene, they've created it. But they don't need me, I don't bring a crowd. I bring the music and I can keep a crowd and I can give them a good time. But, other than that, all my mates are like, mountain biking,
That's what it is.
fell walking, stuff like that. Going out for nice lunches and all that kind of stuff. They all think I'm mental, And some of my mates, they gave me the nickname Cyborg because they say you can't be human because you shouldn't be doing the things you're doing at your age. And I thought, well, that's just a very ageist thing,
Yeah.
But and then one night I was working in Havana, and then a young lad called Cam Smith come up to me, and got my name wrong, and then insisted my name was Stephen. And I said, tell you what, go away for a bit because he wanted to get on the decks at Havana.
Yeah.
And I said, look, go and have a think about what you've just said. He says, come back when you can say my real name and then we'll have a proper chat. So he come back later and he was like, aye, sorry, Simon. So then I started talking with Cam Smith, and you'll know them because of if you've heard of CBK.
The lads, they're the lads who've done Unit Rave.
Aye.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
So that's Cam Smith, Kai Gillespie and Billy Hunter.
Right.
And so we were just having a bit of a chat, and Cam played a few tunes, and I was like thinking, I need to start helping more people get into the industry, because I had opportunities, and the opportunities now aren't as big or aren't as plentiful.
Yeah.
So I turned around to Cam, I was like, well, do you fancy doing something like, maybe on a Saturday afternoon? And he was like, what do you mean? He says, well, why don't you and some of the other lads, like Billy or anybody, and why don't you come up and do it? So Cam went off and asked everybody if they wanted to get involved and do this daytime gig in Carlisle. And some of them weren't really that bothered. But so Billy Hunter signed up for it, Matt Reid, Lewis Wood, a guy called Jake Smythe,
Right.
came up, and they all came up, and we created this brand called Social.
Right.
And we just started throwing these daytime parties on a Saturday once a month in
Some of
Carlisle.
the names ring a bell, are they young lads?
Yeah, they are very young lads. And I was like, look, I'll just set it up for you. You just crack on.
Right, okay.
And so they turned up, and all their mates turned up, and honestly, you couldn't move. We created this movement of daytime parties in Carlisle that was unsurpassed.
Don't get me wrong, right? As a maturing adult now, daytime drinking's the one.
Yeah, daytime drinking has taken off. So I kind of caught on to it quite early because I've seen loads and loads of people start getting on the train, going to Carlisle with cocktails and all that kind of stuff, daytime drinking.
It's the way forward.
And I just turned around to the owner and I says, look, let's try and do something daytime. Let's see where it goes. And honestly, it just took right off.
Class.
And ever since then, the daytime DJing thing in Havana it's just mint. It's like, it's like it feels a little bit naughty because it's still broad daylight outside.
Yeah.
And most people are thinking I can come in here, I can get smashed, I can have a rave, and I can get home in time to catch the weather, match of the day on the last train home, and wake up the following day with not as bad a hangover.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and it's been fantastic, and they've gone on and done bigger things, like the stuff they've done in Electric Soup, and all that kind of thing, Johnny with his festivals, there's a lot of good stuff coming up now, there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of young talent out there, but it's just the outlets just aren't there as much, I mean, I was a Club 135 for ages, and, invariably they very rarely brought guests in, stuff like that, but since I no longer work there anymore, they've started to spread that out, and they're bringing in kids like Morgan Cassiera, and they've got Felix there once a month, and they've got they're starting to give other young ones opportunities, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
because that's the scene will only grow if more people get into it.
Yeah, I know this sounds daft and maybe a bit fucking. I don't know what the word would be, but I found my sort of age and my generation. There didn't seem to be much come after me, with DJing wise.
Yeah, there seems to have been a bit of a gap.
Yeah, and no, but it's only in the last, I don't know, maybe 3 years, 4 years, where there's these young lads who's come through who's 18, 19, but from there's just that gap of people where there was like no one. Like, I'm talking Cumbria, by the way. I don't know about outside of Cumbria, but in Cumbria there was just no DJs coming through.
Yeah, no, there wasn't.
Yeah, it just
there wasn't, because I was struggling. I was thinking, I'd love to like help people out and get them involved in gigs and stuff like that. But some of them were just either too arrogant that I could give them a time of day.
Yeah.
Because obviously they got their heads in the wrong part of the game. As in like
chip on the shoulder. Isn't it?
I wouldn't say it was a chip on the shoulder. It was just that thing that they had this ideology of how they should be as a DJ, and that's not. You know,
and if you can't feed into that, then you're not part of the game. Sort of thing,
be humble, be respectful, and people will help you.
I don't know whether you've noticed this or not with me. Like, we've talked off pod, and I don't mind talking about it on here. A lot of people seem to think that I'm the guy is ignorant or arrogant.
I'll probably say there's probably a lot of people say that about me.
Yeah.
But they just never take the time to get to know me.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know if you noticed this though. When I played with you last time, when was the last time I played? Was it Fusion Reunion?
Fusion Reunion, Club 135.
So 135, I walk in. I go in and everyone who's there, I'll shake their hand and all right.
Yeah.
I did that to everyone. I purposely try and give off a positive vibe and welcoming vibe because I remember coming through. When I was coming up, there was people there who, when they seen a young lad coming through, they thought, He's nicking my spot. He's taking my spot off the venue. Oh no, but there is.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like every sort of walk of life. If you're a fucking, I don't know, a bin man, right? And there's a young whippersnapper who comes who collects bins faster than you.
It doesn't matter what you do. It's in every walk of life, every kind of work you do. There's always someone chomping at your heels trying to do better and things like that. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that because like I say, it wasn't until lockdown came that I actually sat down and started making tracks.
Yeah.
And I started collabing with a guy called Adrian Taylor. See, because I sort of like mid 2015s, I did something called House Night with Jack Murray.
Yeah.
House Jack.
Yeah.
So I worked on, Jack was one of the first people I met that I decided to help. Was because he came down, he sat and he talked to me, and he was just cool about it. He was dead respectful, and he appreciated my advice and stuff like that. And I helped him, and we took House Night from, one night in Joe Bananas, with a few of his mates, to like big events. Big capacity events. We did Northbound Festival. Yeah. We had our own arena at Northbound Festival.
Yeah.
And that's how far I took his brand. And I used all my connections throughout the industry to bring that in. We did the first one at Elliott's in Workington. Next to where Fusion used to be. And I rang Ben up and I was like, "Do you want to come over, Felix Leiter? We'll do it. Just to get a name on the list, like it we're putting a big event on, and then build it up from there. There was Jack and Jordan, there was Corey James and a few others that he brought over, Murphy Brothers and stuff like that. But it was kind of like it was me helping him and like getting a group of other lads together who were keen DJs. Because at the time there was like Phil Bridges, Lockie was doing his thing with Groove before it became 4Player.
Yeah.
And so there was loads of stuff going on. It was nice. And it was just like...
Just bubbles away.
And that's when I met Rory. And that's when I ended up doing the Metaverse. Wow. Another story. So, most recently, I did a gig in the Metaverse.
Explain, you've lost me.
So the Metaverse is an online world where you can go and be anything you want to be. And you basically create an avatar and you go into this world, this online world.
Right. Where's this located?
There's loads of different metaverses.
Right, okay.
There's, type in metaverse in Google and there's like a big list of them come up. So there's loads like different worlds, like these online worlds.
What DJ Simon Kennedy in this Metaverse?
Yeah, so Rory, he runs a company called Bitwax.
Right.
Which is a blockchain crypto record label.
Right.
But it was a record shop as well, so you could go online, buy records off them, and pay for it with cryptocurrency, so like Ethereum or whatever.
Right. Okay.
And so it's Rory's.
Sounds insane, mate.
it is massively insane because Rory's doing a lot of work, and I can't really talk about it that much because he's got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And I would rather he come on in here and talked about it.
Yeah. I've never met him, by the way, honestly. He's
Honestly,
a local DJ,
yeah, he's a local DJ. He's an absolutely stand-up guy, and his head's just full of amazing things. Like, honestly, he's
So go on then, tell us about this metaverse.
So he's been working with these metaverses, and this one called Boonkbots. And so they're basically going around the different metaverses, putting events on in nightclubs in metaverses. So a metaverse is like, imagine Cumbria in a computer game.
Am I picturing this wrong? But is it The Sims?
Yeah, it's a bit like The Sims.
Right, okay.
Essentially, it's Sims on steroids.
Right, okay, go on. And how many people are going to these events in the metaverse?
It varies depending on what time they brought. So I played for the first time in a nightclub in the metaverse,
Right.
and all these people
It's
turned
fucking
up
crazy, mate.
to watch me DJ in the metaverse.
Right.
So it was a video of me DJing in a nightclub, so with decks in front of us and stuff like that,
Yeah.
in this metaverse nightclub. Surreal as fuck.
So where are you actually at?
I'm at home.
Right. And you've got the decks in front of you and...
No, it was a pre-recorded one, this one, but there's different ways you could do it. You could have your deck set up with a green screen, all that kind of stuff.
Right,
So
okay.
it comes from the days of lockdown where streaming,
Yeah.
everybody started streaming in lockdown, didn't they?
Except now you're all together in this...
And now we're all together in this metaverse.
Fuck,
online
my
community.
head's twisted.
And
But interesting.
It's massive.
Yeah.
Because if you think about a demographic of people that wouldn't necessarily go to nightclubs,
But
wouldn't
love the music.
necessarily
Yeah.
go out or can't go out for one disability or another,
Yeah.
that's their access to that kind of world where they can be whatever they want to be.
Right.
You know, there was guys in there with like angel wings and Mohicans and all sorts of stuff. There was like,
Right.
you know,
Right.
create your avatar, get in there and have some fun.
Right. So what's the attendance like roughly? Like, what's the minimum you're getting? So
I can't remember how many was in that one. I think there was maybe a couple hundred in that one because it's such a new thing.
yeah.
It's such a new thing.
But even
It's
still, a couple of hundred crazy avatars is quite insane.
it was an interesting thing. But obviously, during lockdown, I made a few tracks with a guy called Adrian Taylor. Just batting ideas backwards and forwards to each other because we could do it all online and send files backwards and forwards because we were both working in Logic. Didn't think it would come to anything, but made 3 tracks.
Yeah.
One got signed to Vamos,
Right.
the other one got signed to Whorehouse,
Right.
and the third one got signed to Simmer Black,
Right.
which was Low Steppers label.
Not bad, is it? It's not bad.
So
Yeah.
in the space of like 2 years of sitting down and working with someone who was interested in a similar style to what I wanted to produce.
Yeah.
We-
There's some good releases on that Whorehouse. I like that,
Yeah.
that label.
So we got on a Whorehouse, and Simmer Black was kind of like that was probably the biggest of the releases because it got onto Simmer Black through Reza, who we sent the track down to Reza to get it engineered, just to do all the mastering on it. And Lost Stepper just happened to be in the studio at the time with him, and he said, "I want that
Right.
from a Simmer Black album."
Yeah.
So it went out on a Simmer Black release, and then they put it out as a single track as well.
Not bad. It's not bad at all, is it?
Yeah, but what else it also taught me, because obviously Felix has been doing tracks for years and years and years. He's had so many releases, you know, he's had loads and loads. But it kind of sort of opened my eyes into the world of music and production and how even with the success I've had as a DJ, to get to that next level where you're like a Sam Divine,
Yeah.
you know, a Cal Cox.
You level up. Yeah. It's a big step in it.
To get from there to there is
Production's involved as
is
well.
a big step, and there's a massive amount of production, social media. I mean, Fisher's a prime example,
Yeah.
right?
His social media is bigger than him.
His social media is bigger than him. He already had a big social media because he was a DJ on the Surf Tour, wasn't he, Fisher? And Chris Lake makes all his tracks,
Yeah.
and he's open about that. You know, he knows Lakey makes all his tracks,
Yeah.
or makes quite a lot of his tracks. I don't know if that's common knowledge,
Pioneered
you
his
know,
sound as well.
and pioneered his sound. But look, Chris Lake was like, you know, he's got a way bigger social following than me. You know, I'll make the tracks. You go and tour the world,
He's getting my production's heard.
and I'll count the money.
Yeah.
You know,
It's not bad, is it?
Lakey turns up and plays a gigs he wants, and Fisher just tours the world, just basically having the best time of his life.
Yeah.
And so there's you know, social media has kind of changed the landscape of DJing massively. So you know, these days
I find that Fisher doesn't put anything up that's DJ related. Really, he just
it's just him partying.
yeah.
all of Fisher's videos that he puts on Instagram are him
Yeah.
DJing and having a good time.
Yeah.
And I think that's brilliant because he's kind of sort of like throwing 2 fingers to the industry, saying, "So fuck,
Yeah.
I'm a good DJ.
Yeah.
I've got help making my productions,
It's
but
personality.
you show me a DJ now that's in that bracket of those top 100 DJs, even so, you know, DJ Mag Top 100. You tell me if any of them aren't getting engineers, tracks, and help in studios. They're all getting that, because when you're at that level, to be able to mix gigging and production maintaining your presence, you've got to have a team of people behind you. You know, and all the big labels, and it's once you get signed to those big labels like Defected or, you know, those kind of labels, you know, like Tool Room and stuff like that. You know, there's a team of people beneath you, taking care of all of the stuff.
Guided as the do's and don'ts and everything, stuff like that.
Yeah, and you're being managed properly, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And you might it can take 2 or 3 tracks to get to that point, but you've got to be just. Sometimes it's just luck of the draw. Yeah, because I see so much good music.
But it's not reaching the height of what you'd expect.
That never reaches its potential. Yeah. I mean, I've seen Bob Sinclair put tracks out that never go anywhere, but they're some of the best tracks that are out there. You know, I've seen, you know, and it's how like crowds ebb and flow between certain types of DJs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Probably one of the most consistent DJs, producers out there is Calvin Harris. Yeah.
But he's continuously evolving his style as well.
But he continuously evolves his style. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things I've managed to do over the years is...
Move with the times.
Move with the times. I haven't kind of stuck in one genre. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. That can be whatever you want, you know. It's up to you. It's up to you as a DJ and artist how you want to move. I've always kind of wanted to evolve, wanted to change, wanted to try different music and sample different music. I don't dislike or hate or...
I love everything, mate.
You know, I enjoy all kinds of music.
Everything that makes logical sense in my head, I like.
Yeah.
It took me a while to understand drum and bass because I was, well, yourself, like, we got brought up on in this area, like, 4 to the floor music, really, like, in dance music. And then I didn't discover drum and bass till later, and then it took me a while to understand it, and now I understand it, I'm like, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's like that with everything. I don't like, because I listen to everything. I like classical music. I like heavy metal. I like everything. But I don't understand jazz music. Maybe one day I will. But jazz.
Have you ever listened to Miles Davis?
No.
Check Miles Davis out. Then you'll understand.
What type of artist is that?
You'll understand jazz.
Right. Because when I listen to jazz, it doesn't work. It doesn't click in my head.
It's kind of all over the place. But Miles Davis, he plays like a clarinet.
Right, it's just there's no logic to it though. Like I've heard something, and you can hear the bass line and sitting underneath it, right? And then there might be I don't know, a saxophone or sitting, but they're playing in 2 different keys, and it's just
it is kind of all over the place. But I think it's just kind of jazz music comes because it's just kind of like a jamming session, isn't it? And they're just kind of just making it up as they go along in some ways.
So that's the only type of music I don't understand. I'll give everything a go, but. If my head can't comprehend it, then it's out the window. Like, as I say, it took me a while with drum and bass, but once I understood how it worked and stuff, I'm like, oh, cool. You know what I mean? Maybe one day that'll click for jazz and it'll be like, oh yeah, right now what's going on. I think we'll just tie up this section, mate, because I need a pee. Right? We're back in 2 minutes. Back for section 2. So this is the question section. So if you want to write in any questions to the podcast, it's at It's Time to Refresh on Instagram, Facebook, you know, the usuals. And we get new questions for every week. Some of them are to do with music, some are to do with life, some of them are to do with just completely obscure shit. But we love it. It's open to any questions at all. Ask us anything.
It's about to get real, isn't it?
So
that's if the first hour I wasn't putting them to sleep, mine.
No, it was interesting, mate. So we'll kick things off with this one. I know that you're a conspiracy theory man. So what's one conspiracy theory you wholeheartedly believe? And that's from Dan. Right, this could open up a can of worms, but like I don't know about you, but I'm not a conspiracy theorist nut. I'm not like, oh, fucking, I don't know, like Joe Biden's illicit or something like that. I believe, what I wholeheartedly believe, and we'll keep it short and sweet because we can go down a massive rabbit hole of this, is the monarchy. I think all that is just an absolute scam, and I think that they're just living freely for no reason, and there quite possibly might be lizards. No, I'm joking about lizards, but I don't believe in the monarchy and how people say, oh, it's great for the country and it brings more revenue in. I don't care. I don't care for them. And there's 100 conspiracy theories out there about it, whether you want to talk about Diana or something like that. Don't want to get into it too much because legally I don't know what you can say on a podcast. No,
last thing you want is a solicitor's letter in this one. Right?
Yeah, but yeah, they fucking killed Diana. Sorry. Yeah, right. Is there any conspiracy theories you believe in? I've heard there's so many musical ones out there as well. Like I heard one that was fucking Paul McCartney ain't Paul McCartney. Apparently he died in a car crash in the 60s.
All right, here's one for you.
Go on.
Elvis isn't dead.
Yeah. Oh God. Did he die? Did he not? I don't know.
He's on an island. He's on an island in the Bermuda Triangle.
Right. Okay. Well, you see all sorts of mad stuff. They say like Tupac didn't die or Michael Jackson didn't die. Like there's actual videos of after Michael Jackson died. There's a video of him going into a van and disappearing.
Yeah.
I don't know what to believe.
I try not to get caught up in conspiracy theories because I'd spend half my life online researching shit that didn't mean anything.
It's absolutely meaningless. It doesn't make any difference to our life. But one thing that I must say is like. I wouldn't be surprised about the you were saying about Elvis and Michael Jackson stuff like that. Yeah. If they just wanted to be out of the spotlight and just live a quiet life,
fake your own death.
Yeah, exactly. I can believe it. But yeah, go on.
I do think the Illuminati is a thing.
Don't get me started. Mate.
I possibly think the Illuminati is a thing.
Possibly, it's factual. Isn't
it? I do think. I honestly, genuinely believe there's actually a group of people out there that are controlling a lot of stuff. Who they are, I don't know. But if you want to hit me up, I'll come work for you, no problem.
Yeah,
just
they're on big paychecks.
Yeah, they're on good coin. You want to be part of that, don't you?
Touching on all the conspiracy theories and stuff like that. Another one would be that fucking Epstein's Island. That is it. Ghislaine Maxwell. She's the only person in history to go down as a sex trafficker.
A sex trafficker, yeah.
But didn't have any clients to sex traffic to, apparently. So there's another one. But as I say, like this whole Illuminati thing and that, I strongly believe that there is somebody there just pulling the strings.
There is someone. Yeah, there's a group of people
who knows everything before everyone else. Well. There you go.
I reckon
so there's your answer to your question.
Controlling the world's finances, but thankfully they can't control our minds
yet.
That's
a whole other fucking conspiracy theory. I'll move on before we get too finged into it. Hi Brad, would you ever consider doing a weekly residency? And if so, what would you play? And that's from Chris.
Do you want one at Havana?
No. I say no. For me, I can't do weekly one because it's for me. I like to be excited, and if it became a job, I don't know whether I've talked or not about this, but for me, I don't mind saying this on the podcast as well. For me, I work 2 weekends a month DJing, and that's me. I'm happy because at the end of the day, I like spend time with family, and I like going away, seeing friends and stuff like that. So DJing means a lot to me, and when you do a gig, you're not just dedicating that couple of hours you're playing on a Saturday night. You've got prepping music, driving to wherever you're playing, and for me, if I was playing 6 hours on a Saturday night, you've ripped my Sunday off completely. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I look back on that and I was like, I've DJed probably every Saturday from 1998 till last weekend.
Well, you were as you said.
I said to you earlier, and it's that whole thing of people say to me, "Oh, you must practice all the time. You must do this." I don't practice at all.
You don't need to because
I don't need to because
6 hours on a Saturday night.
I'm past practicing. I know how to mix in key. I know my tracks.
It's like riding a bike, isn't it?
And the technology now is so good because it tells me what came in. The latest CDJ 3000 will highlight the next track in green. That's in the right key, so you can play it.
Yeah, it's like
DJing has become a lot easier.
A lot easier. But as I say, it's like riding a bike. Like it's one of them things. If I stop now, I come back in 5 years. Give me 2 or 3 mixes into a set, and I'll be like I never stopped. Yeah, and I think that's the same for any DJ as well out there. Like I think.
Oh, definitely. People say to me, you probably can't play vinyl anymore. Well, yeah, I could. No problem at all. I can sit me in front of the set of turntables.
2 or 3 mixes, and you're into it, and then there you go, you're away again. what style of music would I play? Right, here's the thing. I know you were saying that you have to become this sort of DJ who can play commercially, and do you know, like when you say play Timer One. If I was to do,
Yeah, because like when you think of someone like Pete Tong,
Yeah.
like if you were to listen to one of Pete Tong's earliest Radio 1 shows, and then listen to one of his latest Radio 1 shows, the musical differences would be massive.
Oh, massively,
And Pete Tong is one of those DJs I kind of aspire to be, because he can cross genres.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, I get that. But for me personally, I would never take up a digital, as good as it would be. I'd love to play there, but I wouldn't do it just because you're guided in what you should be playing. I like what I like, and I want to like. See, if you came to my house and I was hosting a party and I was DJing, I want to show you music you didn't know you liked.
Yeah.
I'm that type of DJ. Like I like everyone can anthem bash, and like I get onto people about it all the time. Like good example is Todd, and I'll name drop him in here. I'll even tag him in this video that I'm going to cut out. Right, he's a good tune, so he can pick a good tune selection because he plays all the big anthems and he can keep them on dance floor. And I appreciate that for what it is. There's a lot of DJs out there that do that, but I like going that one step further and doing. I want to play tracks you didn't know you want to hear. That for me that's a more satisfying
breaking tracks. I mean, my sets used to always consist of that though.
Yeah.
My tracks consist of stuff I want you to know about and things I know you know.
I think this is cool. I like this. This is such a like. I buzzed when I first heard it for the first time, sitting in my bedroom with my headphones on, listening to looking for new music. I think you're gonna really buzz off it on a dance floor. That's my mindset, anyways.
Yeah.
And for me, my perfect. This is, as I say, getting too far into it again. But my perfect night would be, I'd like to start at about 1:30, because obviously I play a little bit harder, right? And I would play a sort of groovy warm up stuff. I'd then move into maybe next hour would be like sort of 1:40 classics and uplifting trance and stuff like that. And then everything for me, anything that's got a good offbeat for me is like that's solid. I like a
Paul
good,
Oakenfold's sets used to start at 1:28 BPM and
Yeah.
he used to finish at 1:44.
Yeah, well there you go. That's what I mean. It's a journey, isn't it?
And he would take on that journey.
Yeah, and then I would move on to sort of like the funky hard house sort of vibe, and then I'd maybe go into a little bit of hard house, into the bounce stuff, and then I'd go as far as hardcore and drum and bass. Like that's my ideal thing. What I'd probably do is I'd probably end it at the bounce thing. I'd finish on bounce.
Solid.
But like, start at that like groovy house thing. I'd like people to come in, be on the dance floor, getting a drink, foot tapping, knowing I'm into this, and then by the end of it, I want them all absolutely gurning their faces off, going for it at 150. That's ideally what I would do, and there's nowhere that can offer that. So would I take a residency up? No, that's my answer in full. We can go talking about you if you want. You've got your residency. What type of music do you play right now? I'm talking this Saturday, for instance.
Typical day, I would start off around about 1:20 BPM, playing some like nice, cool, groovy, deep house, disco-y kind of vibes. Kind of building it up to about 126, 128 BPM, getting just more housey vibes, just bringing more sort of like vocal-y stuff kind of thing. Just because at that time I'm watching the crowd as well. So if I've got big crowds of girls coming in, I'm going to play more vocally stuff because they like the vocals and stuff like that. More pianos and things like that in there. Just gradually building up to about 130 BPM and then just kind of coasting it in from there. Really. Yeah. In the afternoons, evenings, kind of progress from maybe 130 up to like 134. Just getting a bit tougher.
Everyone's got their own style
as it goes on.
But
when I was playing digital, I'd start off at like 118, and finish at 138.
Yeah. That's a big multi-genre thing, though, isn't it? Like
digital digital was pure house music all night long, but it was like more EDM-y and the subgenres of EDM and playing those different BPMs. It was always that thing of just read your crowd and just know when to change it.
Right. Well, there you go. There's your answer to that, Chris. There's your answer, mate. He's got a residency, and this is what he plays.
I've held residencies pretty much for the last 20 years.
And has it changed over the time?
Oh, it's changed massively. Yeah, I've seen when I think about when I first played at Fusion when I was playing trance.
Yeah.
then-
It's a completely different.
Now I'm
landscape.
here playing house music.
Yeah.
But, you know, if someone said to me, oh, do you want to come play a trance set, classic trance set?
Just out of the
event?
top of my head, this is a question from me. It's not on there. What's been your favourite year for music? Where have you heard music and you've thought, it doesn't beat this?
1999, 2000,
Trance.
trance.
Yes. I think that I wasn't even around then. Nah, I love it, mate. I love it.
One track stood out more than anything else, and it was really weird because I actually got it on a white label because I went to 3 Beat Records before I went to Creamfields, and Les handed me blank Perfecto cover, and the vinyl was Bullet in the Gun.
Nice tune.
And I played it, and Les was just like, mate, this is going to be a fucking massive tune. This is just coming. He said, I've got a few of these. They're just test pressings. He said, there's no fucking label on it or anything like that.
I love the chords.
And it
in
was
that.
like
I
Bullet in the
think it's
Gun.
fantastic.
And I just went back and I went, how much? And Les went 20 quid la. And I was like...
Class tune. That is...
I think that and Delirium Silence, Tiesto's In Search of Sunrise mix.
I love that tune, but if you compare the two, right, like everyone knows Silence and stuff.
Silence is like dark and moody.
Yeah.
Whereas Bullet in the Gun is just pure
Uplifting,
energy.
yeah.
It's just
But I
pure
find that
energy.
do you think it's like... It seems to be forgotten about a lot when you think of like trance classics and like or classics in general from that time. It's never one of them that's always at the top of people's lists, and I think it's probably one of the best tunes of that time.
Yeah.
Do you think so though? You don't hear modern remixes of it or out like that. It's like
You don't, because it was just how do you remix a track that's already that good?
But then again, there was loads of great trance tracks that came out then that's getting reworks now.
Yeah, I've seen a few Signum reworks coming out and stuff like that. But I don't know. I guess there's like, I don't know whether it was just a case of they couldn't get the parts, because obviously back then, you know, it was all done in studios. You know, there's very little.
What's your ultimate trance record?
My ultimate trance record. Oof. Now, I thought Lustral Every Time was a good one. Nailing in Came Beach Ball.
Yeah.
All good tracks. Obviously, I love Tiesto. A lot of Tiesto stuff. But for me, one of the best tracks I've ever heard was a track by the Amoeba Assassins called Roller Coaster.
Right. Rings a bell. That I can't think of what it is off the top of my head.
Right. So, the Amoeba Assassins were signed to Perfecto, but one of the guy who sang on Amoeba Assassins was a guy called Steve Saker, and he was mates with Oki, who would then go on to make the theme tune for Big Brother.
Oh yes, I know you're on about now. That rings a bell. Yeah, I've got that on vinyl, you know, randomly. I can't remember. I think I bought it in a bundle, and I thought, oh, I like Big Brother. Yeah.
But I just remember hearing it in the courtyard
at
Cream, and it literally just lifted the roof right off.
Class.
And I couldn't wait to get it on vinyl. But it's definitely one of the best trance records out there. I mean, people would argue like Warrior or, you know, Darude Sandstorm or Alia is another good one, which was on. Yeah, there was so honestly in that period, like you would listen to Judge Jills on Radio 1 every Saturday, and
something newer and
20 bangers.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the Yormanda stuff was amazing. I mean, Yormanda used put some amazing tracks, synth and strings.
Synth and strings was a big one.
Yeah,
I always liked because he did it at Tougher Record. He featured on was it Hard House, Nucleus Hard House 2 or 3?
Yeah,
it was Egg and Crest. Remember that tune?
Oh yeah, Egg and Crest.
And
I remember
that was a class tune.
There was a track came out on BXR by Jacairo and I can't remember the other guy, and it was called Strance.
Right.
And I swear to God, he's one of those like hard trance tunes that literally just melts your face. But it's such a good track. Like I can imagine it was one of those tracks where you kind of get a vision of it being played at the Burning Love Parade, and like 2 million people just going absolutely mad to it. Like,
I think my favourite trance track, and I don't know why. Well, no, I don't know why, but like it seems to be because it set a standard, I think, and it's System F Out the Blue. I fucking love that tune. Like I loved that tune when I was 8 years old, and for me to love that when I was 8, it didn't have any words or anything. Yeah. And at the time, I liked, I don't know, like.
Mauro Picotto did a banging remix of that as well.
Who?
Mauro Picotto.
Right. think. No, I have no idea. That's a lie. I have no idea.
Yeah, he did.
I'll have to listen to it now. Though,
He did a good remix of it.
Yeah.
He's maybe more famous for Lizard, but
Yeah. I've had some of his remixes and the quality. He always had a bit of a tougher edge as well.
He did, yeah.
But Out of the Blue for me was just like, what is this? Like there's just there's so much to unpack with that one tune. I love the big snare in the background and obviously the riff and everything
it's just a very well constructed track.
Yeah.
It's...
And then I remember watching the video. Remember the box? Yeah. I used to watch the video on that, and you see them going around Hamburg and by the train. So do you know when you see a celebrity and you're like, in fact you see Fat Man Scoop and it's like, and you're starstruck. I was starstruck when me and my missus went into Railing and we went to Hamburg, and I was sitting in the same seat that they were dancing in front of in the train station. I got my picture and that took and everything there. I was just like, this is 8-year-old me being absolutely fulfilled right now.
I met Deadmau5 at the Winter Music Conference in Miami.
Random.
I went to it was at the International Dance Music Awards. It was like 2010. I went to the Miami Winter Music Conference and met Deadmau5 and went to the toilets, and 2 urinals down from me was Tiesto having a piss.
Not bad. Not bad.
But yeah,
Tiesto, he was a good, big, massive pioneer for trance as well. But my outside mention as well, because everyone would say Out of the Blue is just one of them tunes where it's the pinnacle of trance.
Oh, it is, yeah.
But a little side track that every time I hear it, it still sends shivers up my spine. He's Jada, Another Day. I love that tune. I know there's obviously Ferry Corsten's mix of Adagio for strings and stuff, but that one with that offbeat, because the same chord progression, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. And then that one, it's like, it's just another day, and then he breaks into nothing, and all you hear is dun 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 dun. Oh my god, it's class.
And another one that ended up
class tune
getting re-released by Perfecto under the guise of Skip Raiders.
Yeah, Skip Raiders. Yeah. That's when I first heard it.
I remember I got, because obviously as DJ and Progressi I got on mailing lists and stuff like that, so I got that sent through direct from Perfecto. You always knew it was a good record, right? You always knew a track was going to be big when the promo pack was a double vinyl. If you got a double vinyl in your promo pack, you knew the track was going to be massive.
Yep. I always remember the A side was the vocal bit, just another day.
Yeah.
But the B side, they did a dub mix, and I prefer the dub mix. I like a vocal, don't get me wrong, but there's something about just hearing that instrumental, and it's just so good. But yeah, that's one of my favourite records of all time, that class tune.
Space Brothers did a track called Show Me Love.
Sure.
It had like another name, but the tagline really was Show Me Love, and honestly, it's one of those really evocative sort of vocal trance tracks. Yeah. Guaranteed, if you'd had enough MDMA, would reduce you to tears.
What was the title of that tune?
Forgiven.
Yeah,
Forgiven.
Yeah. I love the riff in that. It's dead simple, the riff, isn't it?
First tune I played in Fusion, that.
Class tune. I love Space Brothers stuff, because they did Unforgiven, and they did, what was that other big tune that they did? Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't want to stop the pod, but yeah, they did a big tune. It's so good. It's like that for me. That's where the Scouse House thing came from, like the offbeat and the big melodies, and that for me, I love that era. Right, we'll move on anyways. We
could do a whole show just on trance.
Yeah,
the trance hour.
I could talk about trance all day. I don't get to play it because everyone pigeonholed me as a bounce DJ now. I don't get the opportunity to play a trance.
So imagine a scenario, right? We did this gig at the Maritime Festival, right? So we took Solid Beats record shop and we got a marquee. You know where the anchor is? Yeah. On Whitehaven Harbour. We put a big fucking marquee on there, generator, deck, sound system, everything, and we just played for 2 days solid. Like we literally had every DJ I knew at the time playing on this stage over the weekend. It was fantastic. And honestly, I just remember they used to do a big fireworks display at night, didn't they?
Yeah.
So we opened the back of the marquee up, turned the speakers round, pointed them across the harbour while the fireworks were going off. And I can't remember who was playing at the time. I think it might have been Pete. Vinyl was playing at the time. It was banging out this trance to these fireworks going off.
It's just a moment, isn't it? That's what it is. It's class.
Quality moment.
Yeah, exactly. You remember that forever as well. I like how music captures that. Do you know what I mean? Right, we'll move on to the last question of the day because, as I say, we will talk about this all day. You're Brad, fat lad. Right, yeah, so it's obviously one of my mates.
Yeah, clearly that.
What's your go-to when you go to Mackey's? Love the podcast. I knew you would have food involved in this at some point. So that electric chair question is perfect, and that's from Adam. Obviously, if you've watched them, you know what the electric chair question is, right? I'll ask you that in a minute. But, what's your go-to when you go to Mackey's?
For me, it's got to be quarter pounder with cheese, straight up.
Right. Well, where should we start with mine? Right. What I do is, this is fucking disgusting thinking about it. Like, but I get a Big Mac. Right. I get as a meal. I get that large fries. I'm an Oasis kind of guy. And then I get me and my missus and my little lad will share 20 chicken nuggets as well. And then I get a double cheeseburger to eat in the car while I'm driving. Right?
Is that just because you can't wait?
Yeah, I can't wait. It doesn't fill you as well. Right.
Yeah, it's not designed to fill you though, is it?
Nah. And when I look as well, I always see what the special is. So like maybe mozzarella sticks or something like that.
Oh yeah, I'll always go for the mozzarella sticks if they're on. Like,
started doing halloumi fries now, and we tried them yesterday, and they're really good.
I haven't been to Mackey's for ages.
Mate, I've been 4 times this week.
I'm literally just I've decided I need to kind of like get myself in shape and lose weight a bit, but yeah,
I'm trying.
It's hard work.
Yeah, I know.
Easy to put on, hard as fuck to get off.
I was doing 1 meal a day for ages. Just eating at 5 o'clock every day, and 1 meal, that was it.
Yeah, our lass is doing Herbalife, but like I just can't be on with that. Like, it's too much hassle.
Right, we're going to tie this podcast up now is with the electric chair question. So
go for it.
You've been sent to the electric chair. It's been brought into the UK for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah,
Illuminati.
Yeah, Illuminati. Conspiracy theory once again. And you get one last meal. What you having?
My last meal?
Yeah, so you don't even need to watch your weight anymore. So if you want to have a Mackey's, have a Mackey's. Have whatever you want. I'm not gonna tell you what to get.
My last meal would be a Wagyu steak.
Right, Wagyu steak, right? Are you having a starter, a dessert, or like that?
Probably a black pudding stack as a starter.
Fucking hell. Nice.
Yeah. Black pudding stack with, a bit of hollandaise sauce and, egg on top, and a little bit of rocket in that just to, bit of greenery.
Fuck the rocket off. I'm getting the chair, I don't care.
Yeah. Just for presentation, so it looks nice. They say you eat with your eyes before you taste it. So if it looks good, it's going to taste good.
Right,
so then I go for the Wagyu steak with triple cooked chips. Nice big fuck off tomato on there as well. Nice. Don't really want to pollute the steak that much because it's all about the meat.
How'd you have your steak?
Medium.
Medium.
Any more than that's a crime.
I think even at medium it's a crime. I like a rare steak. I love just cutting into it and how juicy it is.
Yeah.
So yes,
and then the dessert, right. The dessert I would have and I had this when I was in London, right. I had this giant Ferrero Rocher that had gold leaf on it.
Nice.
It was massive.
Where's this from?
It was in a steakhouse in London, and the name escapes me right now. Hawksmoor.
Right.
Okay. Or something like that. But the reason I got it was because for everyone you bought, a donation went to a homeless charity.
Right.
So
you're feeding yourself fantastically, by the way, and doing a bit for charity.
And doing a bit for charity at the same time. So I got this giant Ferrero Rocher. I do have a picture of it on my phone. I will show you, and when you see it, you'll be like, "Aye, I'd have got that as well."
Fuck it, send it to me. I'll put it on my picture. Look at this. There you go. Yeah. So we'll just tie this up now. Where can people find you? What social media you're on? Where can people hear your music?
Well, if you want to find me on Facebook, I'm on Facebook, just Simon Kennedy.
Yep.
I do have a DJ page, Si Kennedy. I've got Instagram, SimonK2012. I'm on Twitter, can't remember what that is because I very rarely go on Twitter. Don't do TikTok because I literally haven't got time to stand and make videos like that.
Yeah. Dance routines, tunes.
Yeah, well, yeah. Most of the time you'll find me in Havana on a Saturday afternoon. Because I've mastered the art of getting other guys to come in, the younger lads to come in and do the nights.
Well,
so I can go home and get home to the missus in time for Love Island or whatever she's watching at the time.
No.
I know, exactly. Don't watch it like. And then I'm doing Solfest on Bank Holiday Sunday as well. So I'm doing the 4-play stage with the Flow Pay guys, Chris Lockey.
What are you going to be doing? Is it more disco?
It's probably going to be more house into the disco side of things, but it's going to be cool as fuck, I promise.
Yeah. Excellent. I went last year, just sort of last minute. So fucking good. Like it's just a random festival, but really good at the same time. Like
Yeah, because it's full of Cumbrians.
yeah, full of Cumbrians, right? And it just seems a bit more laid back than every other
Yeah.
festival as well.
You don't have to turn up in like the latest Asos.
You just ran through Foot Locker sort of thing.
Yeah, just literally dive through the shop window
Yeah.
of Sports Direct and turn up.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? Yeah, I love Solfest. Yeah, they're very open-minded people as well. There, you can play whatever. I got away with playing sort of hard style and everything there. I played there.
That's class.
2017, I think it was, and I just thought, basically I was listening to you at the USB in the car of music that I listened to in the car. So I took the USB out and I was playing my set, and I thought, should I fucking mixed it in, and absolutely loved it. Like fantastic. There's a video online. Go and check it out.
You get a feeling, don't you, sometimes that you just
It'll
the time is right. This is gonna go.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't take. Hardstyle didn't take off in the Cumbria, but I mean, I give it a try, didn't I? Yeah. So, anything else you want to plug before we go?
Not really. I've got obviously the 3 tracks are out there that I've already talked about on various labels. You can get them on Beatport, Spotify, iTunes, or Apple Music as it is now. They're all in Tracksource. They're all out there.
Yeah.
Feel free to buy them, download them, or play them. I don't really mind.
No worries.
It's all good for the stats.
Thanks for coming on,
And
mate. I really appreciate it.
it's been a pleasure. Hope it gives an insight to a lot of people what's gone on in Cumbria for the last 20 years.
So if you've enjoyed the episode, then share it with your mates, share it on social media, because that's how we reach people.
Hit that like.
Yeah. Oh, if you like it as well, something to do with the YouTube algorithm. If the more likes your video's got, the more it moves up the page.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit the like.
So there you go.
If you
Thanks for tuning in.
It takes nothing to go online, and even if you don't watch the full episode, just hit the like button.
Fucking hell. We're begging you. No, right. Thanks for listening. I'll see you again soon.
Laters.